Wait no longer, Cosmic, for the day has arrived.
Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 175th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have another weapon coming from Kosmycpurge himself. This is Predictive Edge. It is a Glaive or Halberd type weapon, and we're going to see exactly what he has in store for us today. But, of course, we always have a few updates for you. How is it going? How was your weekend, my dude?
Shalom. Yeah, my weekend was all right. We've been hanging in there, getting my lovely lady situated, moved around and everything. But yeah, we
and that brought your lady a little bit more local. So
yes.
So more flexibility with our stream time. Yes,
for a little bit, until we find a little bit more of a permanent spot. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be very good.
Yeah, it'll be at least helpful, at least for future community streams.
At least
definitely,
for now. Definitely.
Speaking of which, we have one coming up. We have our May community stream. So we are shooting for the second, or well, technically the third or fourth weekend. Not this weekend and not next week, but yeah, we're shooting for like the 17th, or was it the 24th? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was one of the two, 17th or 24th.
Yeah, 17th or 24th for the May community stream. So this week I will be putting up the poll in the Discord for what y'all want to see for that. And then we'll get the date situated by next week. We'll let you know. And other than that, by Friday, I will have the reset for the next community stream, June's. I'll have that reset for y'all. I think at 30K has seemed to be pretty nice for the size of the community.
I think it's been going well so far.
It seems like it takes them a couple months, or not like a month, a couple weeks. It takes a couple streams.
Yep.
But it's never like the last stream. That's not coming in at the last second. That's mainly due to Sol and Hecate. 100%.
Very fair.
So they're
our faithful donators
that down. But I do have a really interesting update and a surprise, but not really a surprise, but a really interesting update and kind of a surprise for serotonin, perhaps that.
Okay.
But first, what do we have from Cosmic? Glaive or Halberd? Of the two, Cosmic would lead more toward the Glaive. It just sounds cooler.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll have to actually, if I remember, I'm trying to think of like the design, because I know they're very similar, but I'm trying to remember what the exact specific like the difference was in the tips, because they're basically both pole weapons.
Yes. I think one's kind of got like a sword type of end, and the other's kind of got like more of like a axe head type of deal.
Okay, here we go. So we have. Okay, so the Glaive is more of like, think more like a scimitar but straighter, so the kind of so more of a sword edge like, and the Halberd is the axe with the spike on it.
Yep, got you.
And I do believe that the Halberd also can come in the hammer form. It can also be the hammer with the spike.
I have seen that.
But it's usually axe or hammer on one side, spike on one side, and then spike out the top at the end of a pole. So out of the two, Cosmic leans more towards the Glaive,
the more
which is the
bladed.
sword, sword, the sword-ended one. Okay. And yes, Sol, you and Hecate put in 2K nearly every stream if you're here. Mechanically in a D&D spectrum, they are the same. 1d10 slashing with the heavy two-handed and reach properties. And that's the thing for me, is that's one thing I have always tried to, I don't want to say change. It is the one unfortunate aspect and the limitations that D&D has with the weapons, because they categorize them all very loosely, especially more recently.
Yes.
And I feel that is one thing I would like to have seen them explore a little bit more of without getting too complex. Just break out a little bit more than just damage type. But I think that they're doing that now more with 2024. Where they're giving like the weapons their own specific category ability. I think that's happening.
Yeah. So like daggers get like a specific feature, like a proficiency feature. You get different ones for like axes and hammers. Yeah.
So I feel like
I totally feel that.
I'm glad that they're doing it now, and I feel like that's something that I've always tried to do in a more roleplay aspect. As a DM, instead of trying to incorporate complex mechanics to change it, I definitely try to, as best I can, incorporate the weapon in the narrative. especially with respect to player agency. You know, even looking at that, the example that I saw was the, you know, sword, you know, the sword, what looks like basically a sword at the end of a pole.
Yeah.
But in the particular case that I saw, on the back end was a more of like a hook shape. It was more, there was like a small piece in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
That
No,
stuck
I've seen
out
that.
and hooked.
I've seen that.
So while Cosmic is correct, in a mechanical sense, they would work the same way, right? I look at that as something that, by knowing what the weapon is and knowing a little bit more about it, while it's, I wouldn't want to change the mechanics, I would allow the player to utilize that specific aspect of its visual as a utility.
You got you.
You know what I mean? Like, for instance, the axe would be much more likely to, like, if there was, say, I'm trying to think of a different example, right? Where, okay, if there was a taunt rope, I'd expect the glaive to be easier to cut the taunt rope than the halberd.
Okay.
Because if you've ever just taken an axe against a taunt rope, it's just going to bounce, right?
Very
but
much
the
so.
sword's going to be able to slice across it.
Yeah.
Now, if that same rope were laid across the ground, or like a cable, instead of having to sit there and saw at it, I'd expect the halberd to be better at a straight chop.
Okay.
If it's against a solid surface.
Fair enough.
So that's what I mean by, as a DM, I try to overcome the exact aspect that these weapons work mechanically the same by understanding the mechanics of them in real life to allow the player to work with those. And for me as a DM to narrate those, right? Again, if you have the wrong weapon and you want to cut a piece of rope, you're going to have to either get creative in explaining it to me, or you're going to have to find a different way.
Right.
And I like using that over just saying that because they both do slashing damage, therefore they should work the same way in a narrative aspect. And that's where I'm like, nah, I like to add in more opportunities for both myself and the players.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. No, I totally get that.
But for visual sake, Cosmic likes the glaive, the sword, and we'll see which one. We'll have to keep that in mind when we're reading through it. Does it give us more of a sword or an axe visual?
Gotcha.
Like which one do you think this would be featured best in?
Okay. Cool.
I'm down for that. All right, but before we begin, I did see it's a cut above.
Wild.
So I did see serotonin in the chat. So just a unique happenstance and a fun little thing for serotonin is we have your item coming up next Monday, which is what's the name of the item?
Oh, let me check.
What have you? We have serotonin's first submission.
That's correct. It is a weapon.
Is a weapon.
It is called the Mind Frost Crescent.
Ooh, I like that name.
Mind Frost Crescent.
And the somewhat surprising part is, or surprise for serotonin, is Monday is Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
And that just so happens to be the day that I started streaming. Monday is our 2-year anniversary. MisfitGamersStudios will officially be 2 years old Monday.
That's wild.
That'll be because last year we didn't actually get to stream. It didn't end on a Monday or Friday. But yeah, 2 years. We're officially at it. Finally, on Monday, we will officially have been streaming for 2 years.
That's so clean.
Except for maybe half a dozen, maybe a dozen times.
We've missed a couple here and there, but like still.
But pretty consistently, like 2 years. It's,
bro,
that's a long time.
Dude.
Like, we've made a lot of content.
That's the freaking business, dude. Straight up.
Wow. So yeah, 2 years hype. Thank you. So serotonin, congratulations. Your very first review will happen to be on our 2-year anniversary. So
that's wild.
Episode 176. Be there for it.
Let's go.
Oh, but that's crazy. It's so funny because we've been mentioning for the last couple months, I've been correcting myself because I almost say it's like, oh, we've been doing this for 2 years. Like, it's like, oh no, we haven't,
sure.
Not yet. I'm like, wow, no, that's like right around, like literally right around the corner now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, Cosmic, we did see that you submitted a new item as well. Kage already saw that coming in.
Yes,
and is
I'm very excited for that
intake as we speak. So we will have that going. So yeah, I'm excited for next week. That's kind of just an exciting episode to have. But I'm also excited for this because, like Cosmic, we have been waiting for this one for a couple months now, I believe.
Yes,
I don't remember.
This has been on the docket for a little bit, and they've got a couple others waiting in the wings too. But this one is, gosh, I want to say it's been submitted at least a month or two ago.
Oh yeah. Ooh, it has artwork. Did you submit the artwork with it?
I have not seen any artwork submitted. I would love
you gotta
to
submit
see
you gotta submit the artwork, and we can get it like
we can get it on the thing. Like I'll add it to the finished product when it comes down, but we'd love to have it here.
Absolutely.
For that. So
absolutely.
Throw that in the submissions chat.
Yeah.
No doubt.
If you get it, we'll take a look at it. Cosmic says they submitted it in the same post.
For the new one. For the new one.
I thought you were talking about today's.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about Predictive Edge.
I did see that. The one that they just submitted does have some pretty cool art to it.
I read that completely wrong because they said they submitted the new item, and yeah, they said it has artwork, but for some reason, I don't know. I think I was in the mindset of switching over to the review, and then he said it has artwork. And I'm like, wait, we just got new artwork? Okay. No, that was just that was on me.
No worries.
All right. So yes, we do have your new item with the new artwork, and that will get all added together. All right. So, is that all we had for updates?
I want to say yeah.
Oh, and this episode. Oh yeah, this week's episode is the only other update. Is still doing weekly episodes on YouTube. I may be changing things up depending on some research that I do over the next couple days. I still want to post to YouTube every week, but I need to figure out if YouTube's algorithm has changed. And I need to find out if I should split the main channel into two channels, one specifically and solely for shorts.
Oh, that's right.
Other for edited long form content. Because before, the last time I looked, it wasn't a problem as long as they were basically derivatives of each other. As long as the shorts were
derivatives
of the actual long form. That was the last time I knew that the algorithm didn't care if they were on the same channel. But I am noticing that we're getting a good amount of traction on our shorts, but we're not getting traction at all on the long form.
Okay.
So I need to do some research and figure out if it's just the size of the channel, and that's just how it is, and shorts are just easier, or if there's been a change and I should start a new channel start posting out long form there.
Just because I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but when it comes to that particular channel, shorts have been more consistent for longer than our videos. We've only recently-ish started pushing out videos, so I don't know if it takes the same amount of time that we got traction on our shorts with the videos. I don't know if those things can be tracked separately, or if the whole channel as a whole should be getting more just because, you know, the shorts have the traction that they do.
And that's the thing is our shorts weren't doing anything until very recently. I got one to pop, and then after that they all just steadily started getting 1,000 views. And again, it's funny, on YouTube we get the views. You know, each short I post now regularly gets 1,000 views easy. But TikTok only has a couple hundred. But TikTok has the likes and the comments where
and all the interaction. Yeah.
So yeah,
so wild.
And it may just be that YouTube Shorts just doesn't have a high click-through rate for main content. So maybe it is just one of those things where it's its own ecosystem. You either exist in YouTube Shorts or you exist in long form. Maybe there just isn't a lot of crossover.
Sure.
Because I can see that, you know, it depends on the short, but I don't click through often unless it really gets to me. So, you know, I don't know what the expectation is for click-through rate, but I would expect it to be, I would have expected that once the short started getting a little bit higher of a view rate, I did kind of expect to see somewhat of an increase in the regular videos. Even if it wasn't a lot, I was still expecting to see like at least something, daily numbers going up by like 1 or 2. You know, I would expect like over a week of the shorts being out, I'd have seen like 3-4 new views on a video.
Right.
And they're just stagnant. So I don't really know. But I'm going to research that. I'm going to see if I should just start a new channel. Otherwise, we wait.
I guess that's fair.
Just be patient.
I mean, sometimes that's really how it be, to be honest. It's, you know, we got to do our best to experiment, to figure out how we want to do whatever it is that we want to do. But, you know, you do what you can with what you got.
Yeah. Serotonin, do you guys have an expected item review? Do you mean like when we're going to review it? Did you not hear my update?
What happened?
I don't think Serotonin heard my update.
Oh,
Unless a time frame. Yeah, apparently Serotonin wasn't here for my update like 3 minutes ago. How dare you step away and not get the update that was meant for you, specifically Serotonin. Don't worry about it. No, so yes, your item is actually queued for Monday, which also happens to be our 2-year anniversary. So your first review will be on our official 2-year anniversary because my very first stream was Cinco de Mayo 2 years ago.
That's so strict. That's
so yeah, no pressure at all. But yeah, so kind of an exciting thing for next Monday. So we're very excited for that. So yeah, if you can make it, definitely be there. And of course, you'll always have the VOD on YouTube as well if you can't. All right, but today we have Cosmic time.
Yes, indeed.
Long awaited, and I know Cosmic is tired of waiting, so I think we should just get to it now. What is this?
Ooh,
hello?
That's actually very fair.
Why was that so difficult?
Wild, disrespectful.
Yeah, that was stuck too. I haven't messed with that one in a minute. I don't know what caused that to happen. All right, so let's switch over and we will get everything set up for Cosmic's review. It didn't seem very long word-wise. It didn't seem like it had a lot of content, so we will definitely see what we get out of this one. I'm really excited though. While the races and the subclasses are always dense and deep and great for lore and really good for a lot of opportunity to critique and build, I do love a good, well-crafted weapon.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say, from past experience, I have very much loved Cosmic's very unique approaches to things.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to see exactly how this one goes. I will say I have a little bit more knowledge of this one because of how I had to rework it together, but I haven't actually assembled all the pieces in my mind. But I've actually seen all the pieces.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I like the process in which they try to that these creations tend to, I don't want to say that the problems that they solve, but the obstacles they seem to have been built to overcome.
Yeah, right.
It's always interesting to see how it unfolds into the build itself.
It's big facts.
Seeing all the pieces, but not put them all together. Interesting way of phrasing it.
Yes.
And that's why I trust him to do it. So I don't want that. I don't want to have to hold any of that in my head. So that's why it's nice for me to do all of this. I am curious though, Cosmic, is this one of the weapons that you created in general? Was this one of the generalized weapons that you created, or does this have a place in your specific setting, specifically having to do with the dragon campaign? The dragons. Campaign.
Yes.
Is this anything to do with that, or is just this something that you created?
Just a really cool freaking item.
Yeah, but in and of itself. Just trying to get the context here because I know that Cosmic has a ton of lore for
very
everything
cool
that they
lore.
create.
Yes,
and so
indeed.
I really want to make sure I understand where we place this, because sometimes that gives us more context, right? If it's meant to be part of that campaign, we already have an idea of some of the obstacles it has to overcome and some of the things it might be built for.
Sure.
But if this is completely intended to just give out to anybody, I'll kind of approach it with more of a what should I expect from,
something like that. Yeah. No, I feel that. Okay.
It is a general weapon not specific to their campaign.
Okay.
So this is 100% just a weapon anybody could theoretically expect to find in their campaign.
All right.
So we'll do a quick little YouTube intro for these, just kind of getting used to doing those. And then whenever I do editing, it's nice to just have those as cut points for the actual content if I do end up doing the reviews. it was kind of nice to have a couple reviews. So I think I will
Yeah.
cycle some more edited content in there.
Okay.
But when you hear greetings gamers, feel free to say hi YouTube and chat. We'll do a quick little one and then we'll get right into it. Here we are. All right. Greetings gamers and welcome to another Misfit Gamer Studios production. I'm your host Vortex. That gentleman over there is your co-host Kage, and today is another homebrew review. Today we have a homebrew weapon from Kosmycpurge called Predictive Edge. This is a weapon that is designed to be a Halberd or a Glaive. We will see which one you choose and which one we choose to see it as at the end. Join us today and as we figure out what exactly this thing does and does it stand up to it? Does it stand up? Does it stand up to scrutiny? All right. Well, as always, let us begin with the description. All right, Predictive Edge from Kosmycpurge. We have properties. All right, let me restart that.
Great, good idea.
It's hard to go from one thing to the next. All right, Predictive Edge from Kosmycpurge. Starting with properties, the weapon type is melee, obvious, and the rarity type is very rare. I do like the idea that this is potentially not the only one, but it's going to be hard to find. Properties, heavy, reach, and two-handed. Definitely makes sense for being a Halberd or a Glaive. And it does have attunement, very common from Kosmic. Curious though, this one doesn't have any attunement limitations.
No attunement. This is one of the firsts that I've seen from their attunements that has no limitation. So theoretically, a wizard could attune to this item if they wanted to.
Absolutely. And I'm always down for DMs allowing players to, again, what I would consider bend the rules.
Sure.
In the sense that a wizard's staff is not the same as a monk's quarterstaff.
True.
But I'm okay bending that rule. And with pole arms, that's another area where I'm okay bending that rule when the narrative and the player's actions
Make it
and
make sense.
their efforts, yes.
I totally get that. I'm totally behind that too.
You know, if they make a valiant effort to make it make sense, I am totally okay bending the rule to make something like a pole arm also a wizard staff.
Right? Let this be your spellcasting focus. Why not?
Right? So, but no limitations on attunement, so we're really interested. And for, you know, not necessarily every time, but also no curses. So nice to see that as well.
Very cool.
All right, so getting into the description, let's see what this thing can do and what it's all about. This polearm creates distortion in time and space. Distortions appear as unmoving, translucent ripples, hovering in space-time. Excuse me. Let me restart that one. This polearm creates distortions in space and time. Distortions appear as unmoving, translucent ripples hovering in space-time, crescent-shaped depending on the swing of the weapon. This magic weapon has a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls and has the following abilities. So if I read that correctly, the translucent ripples hovering in space-time, crescent-shaped depending on the swing of the weapon. So I guess the visual is depending on what you're swinging, where you're swinging is how it's going to form.
That's kind of the vibe I got from the description.
I'm really curious if that's going to play into how the ability works or if that's just meant to be the visual.
Okay.
As
I would say, I think the way it was described is just meant to be the visual, but it might actually, depending upon how you see some certain things, go a little bit deeper.
Okay. So +2 to attack and damage rolls, and it has the following abilities. Distortion Strike. When you make an attack with this weapon, you may target an unoccupied space within 5 to 10 feet of you to create a distortion. Only one distortion can occupy a space at any time, and your distortion lasts for 1d3 rounds before dissipating. So I'm assuming you would roll a 1d4 -1.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm always curious when they have these unique die sizes, but I'm guessing they didn't want it to go past 3 rounds. So I would say 1d4 -1, a minimum of 1.
Yeah. See, that tends to be the way that I would run this
A 1d3.
type of a 1d3. Yeah. This distortion acts as an invisible trap. Any creature that enters the distortion space takes the weapon's damage as distortion damage, after which the distortion dissipates. So we are getting a new damage type, it seems.
Yes.
All right. You may have up to 3 distortions at once. If a fourth is created, the one made first dissipates. A creature must use its action and succeed on a DC 20 Perception, Wisdom, Arcana Intelligence, or Investigation Intelligence check to identify this space as hazardous. Thank you so much, by the way. I love reading it that way. It is so much fucking smoother.
I'm gonna do that from now on to the best of my abilities, especially when I'm writing it up. Like it makes life a lot easier.
But does it not sound better?
It does.
Like, is it just
genuinely does. Like when you put the check first and then what it's for, not only does it help you track what you're actually doing, the sentence flows better.
I think that also just sounded better to read. For me, it just flowed to even say, I don't know. That to me just makes it, I don't know, it's weird. Cosmic says 1d6 for the result halved, 1 and 2 or 1, 3 and 4 or 2, and 5 and 6 or 3. Yeah, that's another way to do it.
Sure.
Also another way to do it is evens odds. So you could do 1d6 and just evens odds. I mean, same thing as what he's saying, but instead of result is halved, just even odd.
Sure.
So yeah, there's high low. One.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I guess high low only does 1 and 2, so you can't really do that. But yeah, so there's a couple of different ways you could do the 1d3 option. All right. Alternatively, distortions can be automatically detected by spells and certain types of sight, like see invisibility, true seeing, and true sight. The distortion may count as an object for the purpose of these spells. I like how that was written. I like the idea that it counts as an object for the purpose of the spells, in the sense that it's nothing more than what you can see tangibly. It is a tangible sight line, but I like that it's nothing more than that. You don't get to see, although that is interesting, because with true sight, I don't know, true sight
is a type of vision instead of a spell.
No,
the other two are spells.
But I'm just curious, is there any I like the way this is written that says it counts as an object for the purpose of these of the spells. I'm just curious if with true sight there's any way that could be taken the wrong way, like by a rules lawyer or something like that. You know what I mean? In any way does that overwrite what true sight does?
So it says a creature with true sight can out to a specific range see in normal and magical darkness, see invisible creatures and objects,
that's what it is.
Automatically detect visual illusions and succeed on saving throws against them. That's know the original form of a shape changer.
So that's like what it's accounting for, is the fact that it says it sees invisible objects.
Creatures or objects. So it has to there has to be something there for you to see.
Gotcha.
So this is their way of
beautiful way of adding that in there. Okay, so they are invisible objects. They do distortion damage, which is a different type of distortion, or a distortion damage, which is a different new type of damage condition. And yeah, they just create basically so it's an unoccupied space within 5 to 10 feet. You can have up to 3 of them. You can have up to 3.
They're invisible and they go off when somebody walks through the space. And I believe, if it didn't say it, it should have. Once you trigger this damage going off, then it also dissipates. So like it only works once. It's not something that stays in the space.
Any creature that enters the distortion space takes the weapon's damage as distortion damage, after which the distortion dissipates.
Yes.
Okay, so they're basically just like nice little landmines.
Yes. A little invisible landmine that somebody could potentially walk into. Kind of like how you can set up spike growth. If nobody's around when you cast spike growth, you could set it up to where they have to make a certain like perception check or investigation check to know that it's even there before they walk into the danger area.
Okay. Another note we have here, because the distortion requires an attack roll, it has the ability to do critical damage, but due to the nature of the trap, this is automatic and bypasses a creature's AC.
So when you walk into the thing, it's not rolling to hit you. It just hits you. So if that makes sense. So like,
yes, but what I don't understand the aspect of it has the ability to do a critical damage.
So
if it auto hits, how does it do critical?
So at the beginning, it says when you make an attack with this weapon, so you're rolling an attack roll. You're rolling an attack roll as a part of your attack action.
Oh, God. Okay.
And so you're making this cut in an unoccupied space. Because you rolled an attack roll, you have the ability to roll a 20. And if you roll a 20, the attack's damage that the creature will take will be critical damage.
When you create the distortion. So the distortion gets your critical upon creation.
Correct.
That's what that's supposed to say. Okay. So because the distortion requires the attack roll, it has the ability to do critical damage when summoned by an... Okay, so maybe it could have just added the extra verbiage of when summoned by a critical hit.
Got you.
And maybe that's all I would say is because the distortion requires an attack roll, when summoned by a critical hit, it does critical damage.
Got you.
That's how I would have put it. Because
Okay.
that, I think, to me, just succinctly says exactly the same thing.
Okay, fair enough.
It has the ability, but you're basically telling me what the trigger is. When summoned on a crit hit, it'll do critical damage. Because we haven't read what the damage is, but I like that. I actually think that's phenomenal. That is something that I don't get to see, or not me. I don't think we get to see that in anything where the damage that the thing that you get to create that does damage does not have damage that scales.
Yeah.
It's whatever it does, and you just get to place it down.
No.
I really like the fact that this is something that goes along with the attack that you do. I'm really curious if that means that whatever damage you do on that attack is also what you do.
I'm also curious if it's possible to not create this distortion, i.e., if I roll a 2 on the die when I make this attack roll in this unoccupied space, am I still creating a distortion and am I still rolling my full attack damage?
Well, it says that when you make the attack roll, you may target an occupied space and then create a distortion. So you're not automatically creating one.
No, but is it possible? Like, so if I'm intending to create one, I want to make one 10 feet away from myself.
Okay.
I create this distortion. I swing to roll this attack roll and I roll a 2 on the attack roll dice.
Okay.
Do I still create the distortion?
I don't know, but it doesn't say any reason why you wouldn't.
And
we don't know what
that's my
we don't know what the
process.
actual distortion damage is. We haven't gotten there yet. We just know that you create one when you attack at your choice, and you can have up to 3 at once. Now, I also don't see any limit to use. Did I not see a limit to using this?
I don't believe there is.
So as much as you can have, you can have,
with the exception of you can only have 3 out at a time.
Right, but it is unlimited. So we should. Is there any reason to be concerned about that?
I will say it's limited by how many attacks you could do. So basically all you're saying is instead of using my action economy to hit a person, I'm using my action economy to potentially hit a person in the future. Mm-hmm. That's all it's saying. So I don't see any problem with them being able to spam the mess out of this. You can only have 3 out at a time.
Because once you're in combat, you are... Yes, because this is more for like setting up before combat. Because once you're in combat...
Even if you try and set it up before combat, it's only going to last for, what, 6 to 9 seconds? Right? 6 to 12
rounds.
seconds?
That's
3 rounds?
Because when I first read this, when I first read this, I'll admit I was thinking about it from the perspective that when I make an attack roll like on an enemy and I succeed, I create one invisibly on the battlefield. It took me a minute to realize that you're actually like attacking an unoccupied space and creating this distortion. And yeah, so like it's very interesting, but that's not a long time for them to last when you really have to think about how are you setting these up to be, triggered.
I very much agree. Like,
because I have 3 rounds to make you touch it.
I have 3 rounds to make you touch it. So unless it's like I'm setting this up in a doorway or something like that, or
like
I am retreating from you and setting it up between you and me, right? But my thought process is if I'm actually rolling an attack roll at this square that is unoccupied, I feel like that's going to be noticeable. So I feel like this trick is only going to work once. They're going to run into it, they're going to get hit by it, and then they're going to be like, the fuck just happened? And then they're probably not going to, if they see you attack a certain square, they're going to be like, I'm going to avoid that square.
let me take a look at the damage real quick so we can get the full picture. But
Sure.
I'm starting to. I think that's once I'm starting to look at it from the idea that you are not targeting someone, because I definitely had the idea that this was a knock-on effect while you were engaged in combat. So more like I'll attack you and then put one behind you when I hit you, and then when you try to flee, you'll step into it. Or I'm in battle with you and I see your guy is about to come up and flank me, so I'll hit you and then put one over here. So as he comes up on me, I have like a defensive. Like that's how I was expecting it. And then again, now that I'm seeing that it's like you said, 3 rounds, I didn't get to attack another person. So unless I was able to do an ambush right before they showed up, I don't know what this is like. Okay, well let's see what the damage does.
Okay.
Cosmic says, plus, since it's in an unoccupied space, if an ally walks into that space, it can do friendly fire. Distortion are basically a trap that triggers regardless if a friend or foe enters the space.
Yeah, it is a creature. It's not like it's not only if you're an ally.
So even more so, like okay, so let's look at the damage, because I'm trying to let me tinker on the utility of this. So this is the final. So the distortion damage. This is damage. This damage type must be applied to a damage base as an augmentation. Any damage that becomes distorted counts as magical and cannot be resisted. This damage type must be applied to a damage base as an augmentation. So
the way that I understood this when it was presented to me is when you read it originally, it says enters the distortion space and takes the weapon's damage as distortion damage. So basically, the weapon does whatever damage the weapon does, and
which I believe is like a 1d10.
I believe it's like a 1d10 for this weapon type. It's slashing damage. When it becomes distortion damage, that becomes magical slashing damage, and that magical slashing damage cannot be resisted. That's what it feels like is happening. The distortion damage is augmenting the weapon's base damage.
Got you. So in a sense, it's almost like the way that I'm trying to envision it, it's almost like you can do slashing damage now, or I can basically slash someone in the future and they will take distortion damage.
Yes.
Okay.
That's kind of how I view it.
This is interesting. This is fascinating because I just posted in the Discord about my past and future weapons.
Yeah,
So
that's right. I remember we talked about that.
We're kind of talking about that. So I'm really having a hard time. Cosmic, help us out here, because I would love to hear in chat your idea when you created this, how it worked in your head, and how you anticipated using this, because I'm struggling to with as short of a time frame as these are gonna last, and even as a fighter, being able to get multiple attacks off in the same round, right? Being able to say have 3 attacks and be able to set all of these up immediately to kind of like surround myself or make a barrier or something. Sure. I'm just trying to figure out in what situations would I could imagine if I'm not within melee, like let's say I'm behind an ally and I see that the enemy is closing in and I can't get there because I didn't have enough movement. I could see if they're, say, 15 feet or, a couple of feet away from me, maybe I put a distortion in front of them because I can't be there. But that feels like very situational, very like, why would I carry a weapon for those off time? Not leave the off times, they happen a lot, but carrying a weapon specifically to overcome the times that I can't make it by 10 feet,
sure,
doesn't feel like enough. The fact that it's specifically to set mines, like I guess I'm kind of going in 2 different ways here. I feel like if we're gonna stick with like the trap, I'd want it to last longer. I'd want this to be an ambushable option. I'd want this to be or you need to be able to do this in a way that is not burning your main action with this attack. Like either do this as a bonus action, or it has to last a lot longer to do setups, or.
So to be honest. What I'm thinking is weirdly enough, I'd be okay with most all of this if it just lasted for a minute. If each one lasted for a minute, like don't change anything else, but each one lasts for a minute, right? It's once you're out of combat, you're out of combat, but you don't have to worry about them going away in this combat, right? And you're not going to be using something that sits there for a minute out of combat, really.
Unless you're doing like an ambush or something.
Sure.
And I think if that's the case, also extend it, because I think 10 feet is just...
I would say it's 10 feet because the weapon's reach is 10 feet. You can reach 10 feet.
Yeah,
it's from
you are
you.
Slashing. You're not
Yeah.
like sent. Yeah, you're okay.
So
Okay,
you can either do it
that's
adjacent
fair, that's
to you
fair.
or a little bit further away from you. But if it stays there, I can move further away from it after I've made it. It's not going to go anywhere.
I like the idea of a minute. That helps more. Cosmic says narrow corridors, chase scenes. The one being chased can use it, and that's nice. And that's the thing too. If we had lore that's what this thing was meant for, maybe that would be easier.
Sure.
Right? And that's where I'm kind of like with these universal builds. I feel like the best thing that we can do when we create these is to either give the DMs as much as they, give them as much as they need to incorporate it,
right?
Or I don't want to say make it bland, but make it as vague,
as flexible. Yeah.
And where I'm feeling with this is, if it's meant for something like that, I would love the lore to be just simply, it was created for a reconnaissance group that tends not to engage in combat, so it helped them flee.
Okay.
Or it was used to, get out of sticky situations to, put distance with enemies. And, well, actually... Yeah. I'm trying to think of more utility other than like running away from someone, because giving up an attack just for something that lasts a minute, I get a lot more, because if a battle can last a while, having a couple well-placed mines could be nice, especially if you have a party members that can move them around. So that's
sure.
That's a good fix. But even without it, just trying to think of outside of getting away from somebody, which depending on the scenario that you're running, that could work. I'm trying to think of if that's the weapon I'm holding.
Mm-hmm.
A very common question that we always talk about: how long am I likely to hold on to that? Like, how many of these situations am I running into to feel like if I run into a different, and again, this depends on a lot of factors with your DM on how often they give out magic weapons.
Sure.
But
very much so.
Is this a utility that makes sense only in the lore, or is this something that makes sense for players to actually have? I'm trying to think what type of characters hold this.
I will say, I think this type of weapon is something that a player could use to adopt a certain play style. I feel like you could choose to play a character in a way that would make this weapon very useful. But if you already have an established character and you just find this weapon, it's, unless you're willing to shift your play style, or your play style just happens to already be synergistic with this play style, I feel like it might not be necessarily as useful as like a found item. But maybe if it was an item like somebody knew about or somebody had heard about and they're like excited, I'm
like
gonna go get that.
Zero, you gave everyone, say, a magic item, and then this was one.
Sure.
That said, hey, your character's going to get this. Feel free to incorporate it.
I feel like
I could understand that.
You could create a play style that works really well with this. Like, especially if you're like a monk or a fighter, somebody who's at least going to get 3 attacks in a turn, you'd be able to do this where you can set up all of these. If you're a fighter, you could attack somebody, back up, set up all 3 of these, and potentially attack one more person, right? Like, you could do a lot of different things, and then when somebody comes in around you trying to like mess with you, boom, they get hit with one of these things, and then, you could do all different types of stuff. So like, I think it's doable, but I feel like it's not there are definitely scenarios and situations, but this is true of all weapons, right? There are definitely scenarios and situations where you could receive this and be like, meh, it's not really, even though it's a cool weapon, it does a cool thing, it's not really something I would use.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cosmic says it could be used to place distortions next to an enemy, then have another party member like use the shove action.
oh, that's true. That's
you could, but considering, I look at that and go, okay, in that situation, that would be great for low levels who have not overcome magical resistance yet, because a lot of subclasses at some point get some sort of, like fighters get to overcome magical resistance, some monks get to overcome. So I'm trying to think early on that would be good, because if you run into something in an early game that has a magical resistance, this would be the only way to get over it.
Sure.
But either if you're running a campaign that's going to have multiple magical items, you would expect at some point to get one that does magical damage. So it would probably be replaceable.
Sure.
And again, not every weapon has to be a long-term one. So
Sure.
That's not knocking against this. So it might be an early game type of weapon.
Right.
So, okay, so we have the ability to plug up a corridor, especially get away, or utilize it in conjunction with another player, right?
Yes.
While I find all of those valid reasons to use this weapon, I don't know if those scenarios justify the use of an action. And I know that it's based on the attack, so I know that it's I get where we're coming from in terms of slashing the air to make the distortion. And so I think you're very correct. The best solution I found so far is just to increase the time frame, because I'm just still trying to justify burning my attack.
I'll say the only reason I'm okay with it is because it's tied to your attack action, and it has the same effect and action economy as your attack action. So any time I would do an attack to a person, I would spend exactly this same amount of effort. Right. So if I'm sacrificing this amount of action economy, what am I getting from it? Right. Now, the only problem is no one could run into it. But if anyone runs into it, it's a guaranteed hit no matter what your AC. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that in and of itself kind of balances all out the chance you have to miss when you're actually swinging at somebody. Right. So if I want to swing at you 2 times, that didn't work. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to swing at this empty space next to you. And I'm guaranteed to hit this empty space next to you. And this is a question I do have for you, Cosmic. If they roll a nat 1, do they still create this thing when they're rolling their attack roll?
I would definitely say no. I think you can't.
It's not articulated in here, so I'd for sure add that if that's your perspective. Yeah. But and that's why I was making that statement earlier. It's like when I roll a 2, do I make this no matter what? But this is kind of how it feels. It's like you're choosing to use this tactically instead of it's a creative way to overcome AC. Right. Yeah. And so like you got this like stupid high AC creature, everybody's swinging at it, they're always missing, but boom, I'm gonna set a trap into it. And so now instead of everybody aiming to hit you, everyone's going to aim to push you into the thing that you're guaranteed to take damage with.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah. And Cosmic says even a nat 1, so it's just
even a nat 1.
Yeah, he just says it's pure auto crit regardless, or it's auto hit regardless. So auto hit regardless, plus you can crit with it.
Okay.
So in that particular case, that's very different though, because you're basically. Oh, I know how to make this. I know how I would make this work in High Point to justify what you were saying. Where when you find this, it doesn't elevate you, you need to adjust to it. It is one of those weapons that has its own fighting style.
Okay.
So this would work in High Point because that's very lore based. This is where it would need a little bit of lore. But I know how I would make it work. And I even know how to make I know how to make the D3 rounds work. In fact, I just make it 3 rounds. And I even know how to make that sound right. So, because of the auto crit, or the auto hit, I like that, but there needs to be a reason why it does that, right? So, I'm thinking, when you activate the distortion, it creates it in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of you, okay? Any creature that starts their turn in that space takes the distortion damage.
Well,
hold on.
okay.
So if the creature were to start their turn in the space with the distortion, it would take the damage, and then the distortion goes away. It's gonna last for 3 rounds. But additionally, any creature that starts their turn within 5 feet of a distortion is pulled into the distortion.
Any creature that starts his turn within 5 feet is pulled
Or
in.
ends their turn. I guess ends their turn would be better because then it would be starts their turn in the next one. Because yeah, if you got pulled, then you would just leave. But the idea being that while the distortion is active, it is attempting to pull someone in. I feel like that would be more tactical because at that idea, right, it's guaranteed damage and magical. At that point, your entire battle sense, your battle mind changes from the idea that I want to get close to you and not hit you, but I want to get close to you and open one of these up or open one of these up and get you near it. So then it will do its damage to you. But I feel like it needs something more like that pull. It needs to be like...
I do really like the pull idea.
And here's another reason why. Because imagine I already have reach, right? I imagine that this weapon, because of its power for guaranteeing to hit you if you do it in a trap, I'm imagining, unlike normal pole weapon or pole arms that want to be 10 feet away from you, I want to be 15 at all times. I want to take steps back, use my pole, use a feat, use disengage, do something to get some distance, put a trap in between us, and then step back a little bit. Let you come forward. I can hold you at bay, and then you can start your thing in the trap. Maybe I'll cut it over here, and then I'll pull you into it. Then I cut one over here, and I back up, and I pull you into it. But the idea is I'm not fighting you the traditional way. I am basically setting up the traps and constantly dancing you into them. And that's where the 3 rounds would make a little bit more sense because it has enough time to pull them in. You get them in, pull them in, and then it would trigger the damage within 3 rounds. But the whole fighting sense would you be creating these things around the
I definitely think just a static 3 rounds would work so well with this pull mechanic. I could see it working well. Even because like you have to be adjacent to the thing in order for it to get you. So if I create it 10 feet away from me, I'm not adjacent to it.
Yes.
Right? So if I create it 10 feet away from me, I'm not adjacent to it, but anybody that becomes adjacent to me will be adjacent to it.
Correct.
And so...
And that means you can put it behind the enemy you're fighting. If you just can't hit this guy, slash behind him and just be like, fine, you ain't going nowhere there because you're either going to take an opportunity attack or I'm going to shove you. You put one onto his left and then you put one to his right and you're basically like, move somewhere. I feel that that's where I'm coming from with this is I don't necessarily think it should be a 1d3 rounds. I think it should be a static rounds or a 1 minute. But if we add a little bit more into the idea that it was created for you to use it in a different way. This isn't just a weapon that has a magic effect. This is a weapon that is designed to be used in a completely different manner.
I feel like you will have a lot more battlefield control with this because you are no longer taking up a 5-foot square. You are taking up a 9x9 or a 3x3, right? 9 squares. You are basically locking down. That's scary. And you can do that not once but 3 times.
Yeah, and you can even say for the sake of not having to stun lock someone in between 2 of them and you don't know which one pulls it, you can even say they can't be placed within 15 feet of each other. So basically there's no overlap, like someone can't be affected by 2 of them. Like there's always going to be one that's more prominent.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like if I put one on either side of somebody, like which one pulls them?
I would say whichever one you placed first.
Okay,
that would just to me be the simplest answer. Whichever one you place first, that's the one they go to. But they only get hit by 1. It's not like you're doubling up the damage or whatever the case may be.
Cosmic says the version they use that the DM liked more is a flat 2-round duration for each distortion and a DC 15 to recognize the space as hazardous.
Well, I mean, I get that a DC 20 is pretty high.
Yeah.
I was okay with it because of the rarity of it. Like it's kind of up there. I might make it like a 17 or an 18. But...
And that even makes more sense too, because the idea is, imagine you're fighting something, and from their point of view, you're backing up, scared, and slashing in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that looks like you're not doing, and then they just walk forward, and then they're taking damage, and it takes them a while to be like, oh, you're not missing me. You're prepping, like, you know what I mean? So you could have that as part of the reason why this whole mechanic is about retreating fighting. Like, kind of like, think about how Drunken Master is all about not seeing what it is. This is more of a retreat style fight.
Why I was kind of thinking this is a play style mindset, because you're going to have to be somewhat of an actor in order to pull off what you're doing. Right? To not make it super obvious that I'm placing little mines here for you to be worried about. Because if I'm just starting slashing at these random places, you're going to be like, what are you doing? And then once you run into them, we're like, oh, that's what you're doing. I'm going to avoid that. Mm-hmm. So you'd have to be able to play it off, you know? So I would even add, I mean, I don't know if you'd put it in the rules, but like, I would allow people to make an insight check versus like their charisma score or something like that to see if they can tell what this person is doing, right? Like in these particular situations, if they've noticed you doing it, if you've run into it before, you know, like if you run into the spike growth, like you're going to be able to reckon, oh snap, there's spikes on the ground, you know? So I get that, but I would add more of the social aspect of being able to notice that just seems weird. You're doing a weird thing, and I'm curious as to why. Like it would strike me as strange as to why, and then once I see the effect, I'm like, I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Let me because I would allow my players to do the same thing if they were fighting against this thing and they just see this person like slashing in the air, because I'm going to articulate that to them. I'm going to tell them that he made these flourishing strikes in the air as he's backing away from you. And then once you walk forward, boom, I need you to make a saving throw. Boom, I'm gonna need you. Well, not a saving throw. You just take damage. Like,
right.
You just getting hit, you know? So, yeah, I would totally allow them to insight and see what is going on with this person and try and figure out how this thing is working. So I would have to allow an enemy that's smart enough to do the same thing that same opportunity.
Interesting. You gave me another idea, another direction to go with this, because it is just a weapon and we're just talking about like the weapon's ability. And you made a good point about how many times before they could kind of figure out what's going on.
Sure.
And we know that we have a distance, and yes, you could technically walk away from it, but it almost makes me wonder, what if you could place these on the battlefield with, you know, within a distance of you? And how would that work? Because you were saying, how would they not know to step in that spot? So I almost want like the distortion to be an ability that, I don't know how I would like articulate that actually. I was trying to think of it more of, if anyone steps in it, it's almost like you get a opportunity attack on that space. So the attack still technically comes from you.
Oh, right.
It's just that you distorted that, so when they step in it, the distortion looks like you attacked them.
Right. I see what you're saying.
But it was like you from the past. But I was just trying to think of like how I could kind of incorporate what you were saying. So yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. I think for me, high point was, I think I would do the 3 rounds. I like that. And I definitely think I would turn it more into a, like setting the traps, getting you to like step forward into it.
Right.
And make it less of a, they don't know what's going on, and just more of a, I'm doing it, but I'm still technically within reach. So it still seems like I'm hitting you, but I'm further back than I should be.
I just imagined giving this to a warlock who has agonizing blast that like pushes targets away or can pull them towards you with your eldritch blast. dude, you could set these up like mines and just bop somebody all over the battlefield with these suckers. Like that would be.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very
It's-
interesting.
It's super interesting. I think where I'm just stuck, and again, I don't know if this is because of the way that I play and that I DM, and just I'm disconnected from how 5th edition really plays. Again, hilarious that, you know, it's so obvious that I'm a 5th edition DM, right? That all I ever play is 5th edition D&D. That's
Wild.
so obvious. But I still just, outside of very specific situations, in the sense of picking this thing up and seeing what it can do, like, if I just found this and it's the only magical weapon, obviously I'm taking it. It's still a 1d10 and it has magic power. If all I have is a 1d10 otherwise,
It's a +2 regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it.
Sure.
Especially if I'm the only polearm user in the group. Like, it, you know, there's a lot of reasons why I would accept it. But let's say I'm in a shop. If I'm in a shop and there's other options, right? Maybe I have one that does ice damage. So it's just a 1d10, but it does an extra 1d6 ice damage.
Okay.
Or just a 1d4 ice damage. Or it just does ice damage and overcomes magical resistance, right? There's that one versus this one.
Okay.
And then maybe there's another one that says that my reach is 15 feet. Why am I choosing this one? Like, again,
Sure.
not saying it has to be the last one I get, but when I think of finding ones, I don't really care what they do. It's kind of the whole neat factor of finding a random weapon. So I'm okay with it there. And if that's what this is kind of is a weapon for treasure, because I am totally down for, I love things that are magical, but not overtly so, to where they're
Sure.
just kind of fun to pick up for a couple sessions and then be like, that was cool. If that's this, that's fine. And it doesn't have to be the last weapon I pick up. But if I had a choice, what's supposed to draw me to this weapon? Like, what would draw you to this weapon as written, right? This idea that I give up an attack and it will last up to, but not guaranteed, 3 rounds. And I have to have someone step in it to take non-magical damage. So there's a lot of extra steps to make sure they take the damage.
Yeah.
What is the thought process that goes, I want to choose this versus this fell into my lap?
As is, it would be, from my perspective, without any recognition of what I can already do working well with this, it would be low on something that I would choose. If it's something that fell into your lap, again, yeah, you'd use it, and as long as it's useful, but it could potentially get easily replaced. But again, that's just straight up as is. With a couple of modifications, I might choose this over a lot of things, right? With a couple of small tweaks, I might, even just the minute thing, but even, dude, the mindset that you had where it just lasts for 3 rounds and it pulls you in and it only does damage when you start your like, I would love that version too,
right?
You know?
And just like you said, I wouldn't mind if they just lasted for a minute. I feel like I would be a lot more strategic, and I feel like it would be a lot more versatile. That's my biggest concern right now, is that I'm wasting an attack for something that may or may not last, and then I still have to do something to get that creature to step into that space.
Right.
And outside of the creature running down a hallway, and again, how many of those do you get off before it stops chasing you? But that's the whole point, is you want to stop chasing you. So other than being in a hallway where they don't have a choice, I'm worried that without a party dynamic to say, let's do this, you know, I'm going to make this thing and you push them in. I don't know how else I'm going to go out of my way to figure out how to use it. And in those situations, am I expected to run into those a lot, where we're going to fight something that the only way to damage it is for us to work together and use this weapon? Or is this something that you just throw at them to basically solve like a mini boss battle, where you put them up against something that they can't damage, but they found this thing right outside, and the whole puzzle is someone has to use this, the rest of the party has to push them into it, and you could keep it as rewards.
Sure.
But maybe that's how I would use it. It as is, maybe what I would do is use this more as a piece to a puzzle than a treasure or a weapon I expect you to carry on with you. Is imagine like this was outside of a locked door, or right as you walked in, there's this thing, and then as you pick it up, it opens a cage, and there's a creature. And you all try to fight it, and nothing's doing damage to it. But then someone tries to like activate this thing, and it slashes the air, and the creature like stumbles into it. And you realize, oh, this is what's going to damage to it. So I can wield it. I'm going to make these distortions. You guys have to get the creature into it, whether it's like a like bull. What's the word? Like like the red.
The matador.
Yeah, the matador in a bull, or just having to like dodge at the last second, like do some dice rolls to dodge and make sure it runs into it, or shove the creature. Like I could see this, and then at the end of the fight, you'd be like, you guys can keep the weapon if you want. Like it's it's obviously yours now, but make it very obvious that this is not like a worldly weapon. It's you know what I mean? Like it's not a weapon that was ever meant to go into combat. It was meant for this purpose, but hey, free magic weapon now that you survived. Yeah, I would probably do that, and I would feel way more comfortable as is if it were part of a puzzle. Because then at least this way, because again, the only thing I'm having a problem with is I can't imagine buying this or picking it up and keeping it for very long, because it feels like there's just too many steps in order to get the best use out of it.
Do you think it would be too much to give it the ability to make an attack as a reaction when somebody is moving into their space? So it's like you see somebody charging at you, you know they're coming for you, they're running right towards you. I can use my reaction to, as they're coming into me, either the space next to me or the space two away from me, I do it then, and then they run into it.
Okay, I mean something like that. Someone in chat made a comment. Oh, we have some other things in chat too. Distortions, visible traps can help the battlefield control. That's just true. It's a good way to manipulate the environment so that you can monster clump. Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by momentum, Cosmic. I'm not sure which comment we made about momentum, or why you would be questioning that. So let me know what that was in response to. But you were just saying
reaction
as reaction. So someone else in chat almost said there was the bull charge. Yes, yeah, using the momentum of the creature to like go into it. So at the last second, thank you, Cosmic. That's exactly what I was talking about. So imagine someone in chat, what did they say? They said imagine being able to do like a slashing attack. Hecate said it would be cool to do like a 180 slashing attack that I would have the distortion like cover an area. And then anybody that steps into it. So I was thinking, using your idea and that idea, instead of a reaction, instead of when you attack, you have to target a space. Imagine that when you attack, because of the way that the weapon is, your attacks, we even said, right? These distortions happen in an arc, right? So we've already said that these attacks happen in an arc. So what if we change the verbiage of when attacking with this weapon, you attack in a 3 square arc? So when I attack someone in front of me, I actually swing either of my choice from the left square, middle square, front square, or this direction. Now I don't hit anybody in those.
Sure.
But the idea is that's the direction my arc swings. And what if you say, depending on which way you swing, if either of those spaces are adjacent when you make your attack, you can put a distortion in those squares. So I'm not putting a distortion on the enemy square, but as I'm slicing through the air right before I hit him, I'm swinging my weapon already, right? So a distortion goes into the square next to me, and then I hit my target. But now the distortion's to my left. And then the next attack, I do it this way, and I put a distortion on my right.
Interesting.
And then the next attack, I do it this way over my head, and I put a distortion behind me. So in that case, you could justify how the distortion is part of an attack, but you're not giving up your attack.
Then if they do it, you're basically doubling your damage output per turn. If you
were able to get them to step into it, or if someone steps into it.
Exactly, because you could create those just as many every turn. So like that's my biggest thing. Is that's why I kind of liked the fact that they tied it to an attack, is the fact that your damage output, first of all, when you create a distortion, as long as somebody runs into it, it's guaranteed damage.
It is guaranteed.
Right.
That is the big thing.
It's guaranteed damage. You know, you're not guaranteed to get someone to run into it, but
and that's my problem personally, is just the extra step to guarantee that hit.
Right.
To guarantee the guaranteed hit.
Right. And so I get that, but it's like, my question is, how is it the job of the player to get the use out of the feature, or is it, how do I word that? The job of the feature to make sure of its own usefulness.
And that's
right?
where I gave the idea of the puzzle. Because if you give me, like, if you told me this was created by a group of monk warriors who are by nature pacifists, makes sense, right? You're trying to get away from the fight, so you're putting, you know, traps in between you and them, and you're trying to make space. If you told me that this was for, this is the way to kill the boss, right? Like, you get in, you grab this weapon, and that's what unleashes the boss, and this is the only thing that can kill it, blah, blah, blah. And then now you get a free weapon. It wasn't intended to be a weapon of the masses, but you now have it. Those situations, like I said, in those two, I wouldn't even blink about the exact as written. I would be fine as written if they were meant for that. But from the prism of, if it is supposed to just be a generalized weapon that you either find via treasure or could buy in a shop, I have a hard time understanding why I would be driven to use this, because the utility is lost on me. And again, I don't know if that's my lack of experience with D&D 5e specifically, and more of the older edition narrative aspect. Maybe that's it. But I would either like to see, like you said, I'd like to see it last longer if it was just more universal, because I feel like that alone, making those last a minute, would just be more tactical on the battlefield.
You very much so.
I could dance around them and finally get them and me to make a mistake. I feel like the D3 rounds isn't enough. That would be the simplest solution for me. Well, no, the simplest solution would just be put lore behind it. Tell me it was meant for pacifist monks. Tell me it's meant to kill a boss, and I'm 100% down. If it's neither of those, I'd like to see the 1 minute. That'd be great.
Sure.
If not the 1 minute, I still like my idea that when you create them, anybody next to it gets pulled in, and if you start your turn in it, you take the damage.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like these little like black hole kind of traps.
Oh, yeah. I really do like that idea. I think that's a cool idea. It gives a lot more battlefield control. It does mean that all your allies have to be way more careful.
Yes.
Because any of them could get sucked into those suckers too. And theoretically, there's nothing saying that you couldn't get sucked into it either.
Correct.
So you got to be careful. You got to make sure. Now, when you put a distortion out, there's only a couple of things that says that it gets rid of the distortions, and none of those things are you turning them off.
Sure, so they are just like, there for 3 rounds.
Like, either they're there for a minute or they're there for up to 3 rounds, right?
Yeah, and up to a minute just guaranteed is also kind of scary. Like, again, it's like you make a mistake and...
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, but granted, in that version, in the minute version, they're only taking up the 1 space and not like 9 squares. So,
right.
But still, it's very interesting. So I definitely think a lot can be done with it. Yeah, monks are pacifists, but they will pacifist through your face. Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
Serotonin agrees with a little bit longer lasting. Yeah, it just feels like it's too... I feel like I'm going to be focused so much on trying to figure out... Like, it's like almost playing chess. Every single time it's my turn is, okay, if I use this ability, will I be able to get into it? Yes or no? If not, I might as well try to attack. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a guaranteed hit. Yes, it could be a good amount of damage.
I kind of look at it as, I'm only really going to use this when I don't have a good reason to attack. And there are a lot of times, like as a fighter, where pretty much all you do is you smack things. Yeah. Right? You just hit things. But there's some times where there's no good time for you to hit things. So this could be an opportunity where normally I would be doing nothing with my attack, where normally I would be waiting. Yeah. I have something I can do with it. So it gives you more ability. But if you got a dude in front of you, smack the dude, right? You know? If you have somebody you're engage with the dude. But if you're trying to tactically do something, then you have tactical capabilities. Like that's kind of my approach on that front.
The other option too, outside of, because we named a couple options, we can also do like the slashing option where if you slash a space, you know, while in attacking mode,
Right.
Like, there's that. You could also take a cue from the Echo Knight and make a distortion, make them last for a minute. Allow yourself to like deactivate them if you want, maybe.
Sure.
But imagine being able to put them on there for a minute. And at any point, if as long as you were adjacent to one, you can make regular attacks, opportunity attacks, and like help actions or something through to another one. So imagine I put one here and then I run over here to that guy, but then I put another one over there because you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say someone goes to attack you and moves towards you because I've already ran away. I can go, oh, I'm next to a distortion. I attack through this distortion and opportunity attack him across the battlefield.
I really like that idea. Like instead of like just guaranteed hits, they're like little portals that you kind of like set up. So like I have the ability, just like you said, to attack through these other things, and I can just tactically set them up around the battlefield.
And you shouldn't even have to be near one, because the idea is that when you slice, instead of attacking a target,
Exactly.
you can attack an unoccupied space and attack through a previously laid out distortion. So that would be cool. If these lasted for a minute, you attack an unoccupied space to put a distortion, and then at any point you can, from any distance, as long as that distortion exists. And I like the idea that as long as the distortion exists, you can attack through it.
And you know what I also like? I think it would be so cool if you could even use certain class features through this distortion.
Interesting.
Like, because there's certain class features like the protection fighting style.
I think as long as it uses the weapon, I think I would allow it to, like Sentinel could be used through it. Anything that uses that weapon, I would 100% be okay with it.
So dirty. It would be so dirty.
I think I kind of like that. This idea that you put a distortion out and I mean, how about this? Okay.
That is my favorite so far.
Combine them. Put the distortions out that you can attack through. But if anyone walks into it, they take your weapon's damage. Like if they walk into it, you just roll damage right then and there. So it's still kind of like this, where I put a distortion, I run away. If you go near it, I can attack you through it. But if you actually walk into it, that you don't know it's there. Like imagine you get attacked from behind, the enemy goes, "What was that?" Walks into it, then I get to actually take slashing damage.
I'm actually fine with that because number one, it does still potentially hurt your allies, right? So
because if they walk into it, they don't know it's there.
You know, but the AoE version of it, you being able to attack from it, you're not going to attack your allies. So like that's less of an issue, it's less of a hazard to your allies on the battlefield and more of a strategical position for you. And you can always tell your allies, hey, watch out for that square, you know, hey, don't stand next to that one thing.
And you still get all the benefits of working with your allies, putting it as a trap behind you. You still get all of the benefits, but it doesn't feel as tied to it, because the idea that if they touch it, it's going to dissipate, and dissipating is what causes them damage. But that's the idea, is you can still use it as the trap. You can still use it as a getaway, but it still has full utility. Now, again, I keep saying that. This does present a completely different approach, because this does make it much more of a, I'm probably going to hold on to this weapon for a while. This makes it much more of a later game weapon. Just because, why wouldn't you keep this? Like this, being able to, especially for a fighter, I guess in the mindset of a fighter specifically, having that many attacks, but also having that much
fighter, I'd use it as a monk, I'd use it as a paladin, I'd use it as...
And we're not talking about, you can't teleport. It's not teleporting, it's just, I just kind of like the idea of just attacking through it.
I'd use it as an artificer.
Yeah.
I would totally use, especially if you're like a, what do you call it? The warlocks that have the packed weapon. If you're a packed weapon warlock, dude, make this shit your packed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that would be dirt. So I could see a lot of stupid fire uses for this.
Yeah. Yeah, securing an exit would be a stronghold, would be sick. Yeah. So like again, if it lasted longer, being able to like put it at the exit and then make them like run away right into it.
Yeah.
So you can notice a distortion if they make a perception check. As written, it is a DC 20 perception, arcana, or investigation in order for them to notice the distortion. So
You have to actively do it. You have to know, something is up.
And again, I gotta stop saying that. I really need to remove again from my vocabulary. That brings up a really good point with the aspect how it is. There'd be no real reason other than you acting weird and slashing at the air. There'd be no reason for an enemy to investigate a spot. If you could attack through it, an enemy gets hit 2 or 3 times, they're going to be like, what the fuck is behind me? And then they're going to look, and if they don't see it, they might walk forward and into it and get a hit again. Or they do see it and they break away from it. And because it's a polearm, you could even say that you get reach from the distortions.
That would be dirty. That would be.
That's
really
even
dirty.
worse. But why not though?
That would be
because the whole point is you're slashing your weapon from over here.
You get so much coverage over the battlefield that way. It's not 9 squares. It's like what, 18 square? I don't even know what the heck that would be crazy. That'd be wild. Absolutely wild.
I am. Ooh-wee. Okay. So by itself, as written, I'm not upset with it. I just feel like it needs a purpose. I feel like it needs a very specific lore for me to accept it as is. I think we've gone over a lot of potential benefits. Bare minimum, increasing the time frame. I think as written, everything else could be the same. We've talked about using the distortions to pull enemies in and do damage. We've talked about being able to call the distortions in a different way. And our last one I think we like the most being that you can attack through them if they were last up to a minute. And you still get the benefit that if someone walks into it,
they take the damage.
They still take the damage.
Yeah, I'm kind of not mad at that.
But like I said before, that does change the entire outlook of this weapon and just how powerful it is and how much more likely you'd be to carry it. But in the hands of someone, that's what people want. That's what I think the D&D community wants, is something that uber powerful. So it may go away a little bit from what Kosmyc's intention was. So I think there are ways to make it work as written. Very simple ones. Just tell me what it's intended for, or make it last a little bit longer. Don't even have to change up much, and it would be perfectly acceptable. I do think it has so much potential because the idea behind it could have so much. Bro, you imagine the Echo Knight holding this? Because if their Echo has the same weapon as them, the Echo plus, you could have so much control if you could do anything.
That would be.
You'd have so much control if you could put any amount of yourself on the battlefield and double down on this. That would be insane. It definitely gets the Sparks creativity point. No joke there. So yeah, I like it. I like what it has a chance to. My only thing is, as written, I don't see a utility, an ongoing utility.
Sure.
And that's my only real judgment over it. It doesn't do anything wrong. It's not imbalanced. It's a cool concept. It has a lot of potential. I don't see a lot of utility, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't belong in High Point. It just means that as a player, I'd probably pass this up.
Sure.
I would, even if there wasn't another option, if anyone else in the party could use a polearm, I'd probably give this one. I'd be like, yeah, you can have it. That's me as a player.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with it. I just think it definitely could be slightly tweaked. Just slightly.
Sure.
I don't know which one I like more. The attacking through the distortions or the distortions pulling you in. I think in High Point, those would probably just be 2 different weapons.
Yeah.
Of the same vein. Maybe created by the same group of people.
Okay.
But for completely different purposes. Like a blacksmith who understands distortion magic, or like a blacksmith and wizard got together to make these weapons. Something like that. I would see those 2 as being different. I don't know which one I like more. So High Point would probably have both.
Fair. Okay.
And as is 100% written, it would be usable in High Point, but it would be usable in something like a puzzle.
Gotcha.
Where it's like, you grab this and you have to figure out why this is here and basically use this to beat a mini boss. It would be more like a mini boss. Like again, you go into a cave, there'd be some inscriptions, you really couldn't understand it, and then there'd be this thing almost like on a pedestal or whatever, or like locked in a thing on the wall, and then as you pull it out, like the door slams shut,
Right.
and this something kind of creature gets released. And the entire puzzle unfolds from there of nothing you do can seem to damage it. But why do we have this giant new weapon? And what, you'd have to figure out some way to maybe do pictographs on the wall of explaining that you see them slashing at nothing and then getting the creature to run by. I don't know how you would do that, but that would be the direction I think I would take to make it make the most sense for me.
No, I totally vibe with that. I get what you're saying. And I think that gives it a lot of opportunity to grow is the wrong word, but to like expand where it came from, what it can do, why it does what it does. So I'm here for that.
I think it also leans into the idea that very rarely do we create items and weapons for intended purposes. We try to create them for the spectacle or the use throughout the campaign.
Sure.
So similarly, I like the idea that this has a particular use, not situational as in I'm never going to use it unless, but it has an intended use. You may use it and intend to try and use it elsewhere. But as long as you use it for its intended purpose, it will work perfectly.
Right.
Anywhere else, you may not have intended results. And I think that's underutilized. I think that we could have more of those involved in the game to where we're not worried about players swapping out weapons, but we're keeping them keeping them interested in what they do find along the way.
Right.
Like, hey, I'll hold on to this for a while, use it, and then I can get rid of it. Instead of just giving them a weapon and being like, is it better or not? But being like, you might want to hold on to this for just a little while. And then once you use it for an intended purpose, be like, oh, okay, now I don't have a new reason to keep this anymore.
Got you.
I think that's an underutilized aspect. What's the difference between situational and niche? This. Situational would be something that is... I look at situational as things that aren't controllable, like unintended situations. They are things that can happen, but are either unlikely or infrequent. Whereas niche are things that, while maybe just as rare, are much more intentional to be found.
Can be found more consistently with intentionality.
Yeah. So niche being the idea, like, a bar is not, or I think niche is more intentional. It's more consistent. Situational is more about pure luck, more about happenstance. It's more about randomness, less predictability, less chance.
So I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the analogy that comes to my mind. Don't ask me why. Finding like a speakeasy. Those aren't super common. I would call those niche. If you want, you could go find them. They serve a certain purpose, but you're not going to find them everywhere.
Yes, they're not everywhere, but they do serve a certain clientele, and that clientele knows how to find them.
I would say finding, like, say your favorite cocktail on a menu that might be a unique cocktail that you found one place. Finding that cocktail on a menu at any place you go to would be situational.
Or a bottle of liquor. Like, for instance, I love Roku Gin. You introduced me to Roku Gin. It is very situational because I've only been to one bar that actually holds it.
Really?
I look for it every time. So that's situational.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
Because there are bars everywhere.
Yes.
But for a bar to have a variety of gin, let alone, or just have a variety of gin, know about it and stock it, is situational.
I feel like this is a good short. Just this little description right here of like the difference, because that's so valuable to understand. I feel like when we're talking about different things, it's like they do serve different purposes, but they have very similar connotations when they're used.
So
I feel that.
I think that's the difference between situational and niche. Situational is a bar holding a very particular brand of alcohol that you like. That is situational, whereas finding a themed bar like a speakeasy is niche. They are out there. They may not be common, but if you're the clientele they serve, you can find them.
Sure.
And that's how I feel about this weapon. I feel this weapon is much more... It's better served if it has a niche, if it has a purpose, if it were designed to be this way, not just mechanically, but if in the lore there is a reason why it was used in this way, I feel like it's easier to accept.
Sure.
But if it's just a thing, it feels just too situational to be useful.
I feel that.
That's where I'm at.
Okay. Slay.
So yeah, otherwise though, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I could find a use for it in high point. I don't need it in high point, and if I were to use it, it would take a bit of mixing. So, but it does get the inspiration point. So we'll give it a 7.
7.
Yeah,
Love it.
like there's
Love
like I
it.
said,
Love it.
there's nothing like there's nothing that makes me not want it. It does make sense. Even the attunement makes sense now, like with the distortion and everything. It just kind of makes sense that it will only I like that even. Okay, so here's what I would do. I like the attunement even more, especially since you can attack through it, because that's like the ability that you can use. But I would honestly say maybe the only actual change I would really write to the words as written, or to the rules as written as is because it's attunable, there should be language in there that says any creature other than you that triggers it takes damage. Because if you're attuned to it, why
I would
should
agree with
the
that.
distortions
Yeah.
damage you?
Yes.
I
Agreed.
understand why they
Agreed.
damage allies and anybody that steps into it, but because you're attuned to it, they shouldn't damage you. That's
Definitely agree.
so Cosmic. That would be my only actual critique for you. Is bare minimum just at least add the verbiage that because you're attuned to it, you don't take damage from distortion strike. Because I don't know why you would. And if you do that, way more utility, because then you could literally slash the air and then walk back through it and then just have someone, you know what I mean? Like the idea that you walk through a distortion, they don't think there's anything there. And
It's
then
fine. I just came through it. Shoot.
right? And you were talking about how does it make sense that you can hide it? Well, if I'm just twirling it and I twirl it behind my back like a pole arm, and that's my attack, and I slash the air behind me and then I walk backwards, they don't know what I'm doing. So there's roleplay utility.
There's that's what I was saying though. Like I would want like some sort of like performance check or something like that. Like, how well are you doing this? Not like slash.
Exactly.
Right. Like,
but I think they're saying, yeah. So I think that with the viability, with its potential, it definitely deserves a 7. There's nothing wrong with it. I could use it as is. I just overall I wouldn't want to, just because again, with it being something so specific to like a mini boss fight, what are the odds that I would have a player run into it? That's why I say I could, but I wouldn't want to use it that way, because I almost feel like no one would ever find it. I'd have to shoehorn in someone going after it. And in my world with High Point, it only ever happened once.
fair.
You know,
Very fair.
It's not a module. It's not like it would be repetitious, but that would be cool for someone to make this into a boss fight. Like turn this weapon into that boss tool and then turn that into like a mini module, like a little mini boss fight that people can run as a one shot in their own. And you can make it to where it's cool for their own campaigns. Like here's the boss. It doesn't take any damage except from this weapon. And maybe you even make like 2 or 3 weapons. So, you know, there's not only one person doing all that. But the idea behind the weapons do the thing that gets you through the puzzle.
Interesting. I like it. I like it a lot.
All right. So how does 7 affect the average for Cosmic?
7, I think that puts Cosmic's average at a 6 right now.
At a 6.
A nice solid 6.
Is that up from anything? Was that up from 5 or are they still solid 6?
I hold on. Let me take it off real quick to check. See what it was before. It is up.
Yes.
It is up a little bit. Like they were at an average of 6, but it is increasing.
Yes, it is a higher point value. So like from like 6.4 to 6.7, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right. So you are out You are up to a 6 Cosmic. Congratulations. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed that review. It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of ideas from this, and I
was
cannot
very
wait
cool
to see more. But let us know. But let us know there. Oh, Jesus, I can say this. Small little YouTube outro and we can be done. But let us know what you thought out there in YouTube. Let us know in the comments what you would have done. Do you think that we were right in the comments that we made and in the changes that we made? Would you use this just with your everyday character, or do you think it's a little bit too niche? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, like and subscribe. It really does help us. Otherwise, we will see you next week, y'all. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.
All right. Nice. Right. So,
I came here because I love seeing wasteful souls struggle to accomplish something meaningful and fail spectacularly. Like you are doing
Damn,
now.
Skippy.
Good job.
did we fail? I don't think we failed. I think that was pretty successful. Except for, the outro. That was a fail.
It
Don't you worry about it. All right. I don't want to know, Cosmic. I don't want any ahead of time. So I will.
Was he trying to give you spoilers for his other items?
He wants me to look at the picture. I don't want to look at it. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look at it. Nope.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Even though I'll probably end up forgetting in like 4 months, but however long it takes us to get through these.
Big thanks.
But 7 out of 10, not too bad. Not too bad.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it was really good.
All right, and we have another weapon on Monday.
We have another weapon on Monday. This weapon type is a boomerang.
A boomerang.
A boomerang.
That's dope as fuck. Is there an actual boomerang weapon
don't
category, or is this like
think
a
so.
brand new type of weapon?
I don't think so. It's. I'm sure other people have made homebrew boomerangs before, but okay. So there's not a standard type, but there is a magic weapon called a storm boomerang.
Okay.
It does some wild things. I'm not even sure.
Let's see. That's interesting. Yeah, there's got to be a supplemental that put out like a boomerang at some point.
Right.
I can't imagine that was never like created. That's gonna be dope though. I'm curious how that's gonna work.
Where are you?
Ooh, there's. Okay, so there is technically one for 5e. It's a simple ranged weapon. Any creature proficient with javelin is also proficient with this weapon. On a miss, boomerang returns to the thrower's hand. 1d4 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
That was on D&D Beyond. So is that official? But it wasn't like from like a comment. That was actually like one of their pages. So it's from one of their source
usually
books.
if you look at that, it'll say what source it comes from.
It probably does, doesn't it?
That would be interesting. I don't think it's PHB, but it might be one of the supplementals.
It does not say. Let me open this up in Chrome. No, I don't know. No, it does not say where it got this from. That's
Wild.
But that's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see. This one says 1d4 bludgeoning. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like the standard from any other like reference I can find just really quickly is 1d4 bludgeoning damage and returns on a miss.
Okay. That sounds about right. I wonder if that returning on a miss, does that count as, do you know, sometimes it'll say it's versatile, it's two-handed, it's heavy, whatever, like those different properties that it has. I wonder if there's a property that says it returns on a miss, or if it's just a feature of the weapon itself.
I think it's just a feature of the weapon. I mean, there is a boomerang shield that essentially does the same thing, but that's, I think, the homebrew for Captain America shield.
Oh,
Because there's always
fair.
been a
Fair.
return spell mechanic in most editions.
Yes, there is.
So I think
artificers can imbue that on pretty much any weapon.
So I think the idea for a boomerang really is just using the mechanic for that.
But see, that one comes back with you hit or miss.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The idea behind it. So I'm not sure which one came first, actually.
And that would actually make me a little bit curious. So on a boomerang, if it only comes back on a miss, what happens on a hit? Is it just fall at the feet of the person that you just
I would
hit
assume,
with it?
yeah, it just you hit them and it just falls within like 5 feet of them, like bounces off. I mean, anything can be a boomerang with recoil. That's the idea. Like, you know, that's there are different boomerangs. War boomerang, that's more like a throwing hammer with a longer range. Yeah, I could see that. So it'll be interesting to see what we get. Do we get a bladed one? Do we get one that's meant for distance?
There's no art for this one, so again, we'll have to use a little bit of imagination. Okay. I don't know how much of a description we have of the actual item, but I'm very curious to see what it looks like, and not what it looks like, but what it can do.
I mean, I will say I've created and had some ideas for boomerangs, but I've never really considered them, or at least I've never treated them as a primary weapon. I've always treated them more as kind of like a throwing dagger or something on the side. Yeah. But I've always treated them with a lot more utility. Yeah. Instead of it being a weapon, it's more of a pocket knife tool. That can in a pinch be used as a weapon. But I've liked them. Anything from, you know, hunting is a really good purpose for them. Being able to knock something, you know, small game, a bird.
I feel like is like that, a whip. I feel like I use a whip for a lot of utility.
Yep, whips are good utility. Yeah. I've done, I've had groups where they'll use the boomerang and they'll cut holes and slots in them and then use them for communication. So they'll like toss them around and do like whistles or just wild things of that sort. What else?
That's actually really cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think those are pretty much the primary ones outside of like the hunting and the communications. And then there's just some characters who like to carry it around as again, why not? Kind of like a pocket knife. But there's a lot you can do with the boomerang. So I'm down for it. We'll see how this works. I like the idea of a war boomerang though. That'd be crazy. Just, I wouldn't want to catch that.
Heck no, techno. You ever watch Inuyasha? And that one chick who's got that freaking massive boomerang that's bigger than her on her back.
I've seen the images. I haven't watched it, but I've seen the images.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. So wild. So wild.
Hand strength to catch that.
I think I'll take your arm off, bro.
Ooh, one of Soul's characters primarily uses a whip for their weapons. Dual whips while sitting on a Warforged out of reach of enemies. Yeah.
While sitting on a what?
Yeah, that makes sense. Wild. Imagine combining a whip with 2 shields, interlocking the shield handles and wrapping the ribs around the point to make a killer yo-yo.
To make a what?
Yeah, killer yo-yo.
Oh my gosh.
I could kind of see that. Actually, so the killer yo-yo would be a really funny one, but I think it would be hard to like how you would visualize it. But one I could actually see you doing is they have like the buckler ones, right? Where you just kind of, it's a shield, but just basically just kind of covers your arm.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then sometimes those will have like a little spike that comes out.
Yes, definitely seen that.
So taking Cosmic's idea of the yo-yo, you take that off, strap some rope to it, and then it becomes, I forget what the weapon is, but it's the spike at the end of the rope that you can do.
Oh,
I forget what it's called, but
it's I want to say it's a rope dart. I want to say it's a rope dart.
I know there's an official name for
it.
Imagine
there's like a Japanese or a Chinese name for it.
On a spindle to where at any point you could like detach it and throw it and then basically use it like a rope dart. And then at one point reel it back in and then just
seriously,
connect it back
that would
arm.
Be dirty as hell. That would be absolutely dirty as hell.
I could see it. You put the reel system like up inside the buckler and then you just basically, when you attach it, you wrap it around your arm a couple times, so you could throw the buckler. The reel would be inside of it, so it would just release out, but it would be attached to your arm, and then you could just throw it around, and then maybe you would have to like flick it a couple times to get it to start reeling itself back in, and then you would just be able to catch it in like the air and then put it back on. Do like a bonus action, like reattach.
Dude, that would be kind of almost like a reloading for like a what do you call it, a crossbow or hand crossbow or whatever. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, That would be very interesting. Or a shield with a spike in front, and a whip as a wind up to make it basically a Beyblade.
Oh my gosh! Of course.
Actually, I could legit see it. Especially just take your whip and then to do that to your buckler. Oh, that's how you get it off, right? You have the buckler that has a spike out here, and then at one point you could just wrap it and go, and then spin it, and then the buckler like spins off your arm, and then just becomes a spinning top on the ground.
That would be sick.
That would be crazy. Oh, again, the things you can do when you have fun with it. Artificer alternative of Steel Defender.
Facts.
I can't wait for that episode. Yes, this Wednesday, Battle Medic is dropping. I just did the editing today. I have like 2 more things of processing to do tomorrow, and then I will post on Wednesday. But we have the Battle Medic coming out on Wednesday, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
I said it on the stream, and I agree 100%. I still think that's our best build yet.
I made a lot of good builds, but
we've made some good ones, but I think it's our best one yet. In terms of not necessarily our finest work, but in terms of what I imagine if everything were to be released to the public, like massively, like en masse,
sure,
that's the one so far of everything we've built. I think that would get the most attention. I think it's the thing that everybody wants.
On that vein,
I think it fills the biggest hole. I think it borderlines on being OP, but I also think it just fills a niche that needs to be filled so bad that the OP-ness is okay. Just that little bit of overpowered fighter because we gave it more damage. Even though we can't do a whole lot with it. But that extra damage, the healing, the control of the battlefield, the movement. I am so happy with that subclass. Like, dude. And again, I don't know, like, it's unfortunate because again, as someone who doesn't play 5th edition, I will never play it as written, but I will be adopting the concept of it. But still, it is such a good class. I can't wait for someone to play it.
Dude, I see this is where you guys come in. Like, I really want you guys to like take a lot of the stuff that we have in here and just like run with it, play with, take each other's stuff, take our stuff, play with it, tell us like the experiences you've had with it. Like that is going to be the coolest. That to me is one of my favorite aspects of like what we do, because we're always building, creating, like expanding like what D&D is, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that being able to like see the fruits of that, see the results of that's truly beautiful to me. That's one of the greatest aspects of being a nerd that I like to have out here. So
one of the things I'm also looking forward to with the AD&G and the PHB that we're going to be doing is thinking about how the visuals are going to work. Because imagine we have some of these things and we're going to have pictures of them.
Sure.
But let's say we have this buckler that doubles as a rope spike. And we're going to have the picture of it. Maybe, on someone, maybe we'll have an image of like the rope being held. But imagine we can also, as on the same page, we could have like a schematic of it. Like actually showing the inner workings of it, actually showing how it works in a way that also looks archaic, like looks like a blacksmith or an artificer of the time would have like drawn it out, kind of like a Da Vinci drawing,
right,
of it and how it works. I'm looking forward to those kind of things. Getting an artist to work on like when we describe how something works, actually being able to physically represent
build it out. Yeah.
Because you know me, I don't want things that just do it because we say it. We do that. It doesn't. I don't want that. I don't want an item that.
Of course.
I don't want to say the buckler has that can do this. I want to actually show how the mechanism is installed in there, and just show like there's like a little finger trigger, like just little tiny things to give people the insights to the lengths we've gone to make it.
That would be a book in and of itself. Just like items with their schematics and stuff like that. We could even take other items that already exist and show you what they can do, and then people can like have ideas on like how to expand upon them. You know what I mean? So
if we have an artist in house someday, being able to do that, where we have an entire book where we sit down, we work with the artist, we give them an item, they just ask a crap ton of questions that they need answered, and we'll just sit there and do like this. But we'll give them all the like kind of an imaged item, right?
Yeah.
But we will give them, how do you think this should work? And then we'll break it down. And then they can turn it into a visual. That's kind of cool. I like this. I like this.
I like
Soul
it a
says
lot.
they've been on a pop culture kick, so they're going to be doing the Beyblade weapon for us.
Wild.
We'll look out for that one, Soul. We want to see that one submitted.
We love it.
All right. Well, I think I'm good for today. I know it was a bit of a shorter stream.
No, that was
than
great.
Normal,
That
but,
was great. I
it's
think
been
that
a
worked
long
out super
weekend.
well.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. It was a really cool concept of an item.
Yeah.
It didn't do a lot, but what it did was,
I think that's
niche.
undervalued.
The value of that word.
items that don't do a lot can be really cool. They don't have to be like the most complicated or like the flash. No, dude. Creativity, uniqueness, dude, that's the business.
Yeah. Canadian election right now. Well, good luck. Do better than us. That's all I can say. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll just end it there. So don't
Do better than us. I guess that's it.
Best advice I can give anybody right now: do better. All right, well, I think we will cut it there. Serotonin, we are looking forward to your item next Monday.
On our anniversary.
Yeah, be here. I'll probably post something in Discord as well about the 2-year anniversary. I don't know what we're doing Friday though. I never have Fridays planned. I don't know if we'll do another build out because last week was a lot of fun. Doing that new druid was crazy.
That was very cool.
I'm so happy what we came up with.
Yeah, agreed. Me too. And I really just enjoy our process on creating because it helps me hone how I desire to create. Right? It helps bring things to my attention. Like, oh, I need to make sure I think about those things when I'm paying attention to like what we got going on, what we're doing, how we put stuff together. So
right.
It's very good. It's definitely very good.
All right. Yeah. Get with Kage if you have any adjustments. Talk with him on his time frames because I don't know how early he needs those in to make any adjustments. So
yes,
if you have anything, get with him in the Discord.
I just updated the Discord, and so the way it works is once I update the Discord, you have from now until the Friday before your review. To send me any changes, edits, whatever you got to do. And you can send it to me before I ping you. Like anytime now that you have an adjustment, anything you want to add to it, Go for it.
Check and hydrate
please,
before we leave.
Please. But for last minute changes, depending on when your review is, just make sure that when I post that you're going to be next, give me any changes before the Friday stream.
Yep.
And then I should be good.
Cool. Yep. And so, yeah, I'm super excited about that. 2 years, brand new submission from Serotonin.
Yep.
I'm excited for all of this. And then, yeah, other than that, we're just doing more admin stuff in the background. So we will continue. What's going on, Cart? Nice to see you. We'll see. We'll see some more stuff, some more developments as time goes by. I have some more admin plans, but I've been working on my coding project. So once that's done, I will be moving on to some other admin plans. And part of that includes a website. So I will be working on a website in the next coming months.
Yes.
We'll have things like the leaderboard up there. Hopefully we will have the database that's queryable for you guys up there at some point. I don't know what else we'll want on there. We'll probably do some polls or some questions in Discord from the community about what you want to see. If we made a website, what would you want to see on it? What would make you want to go to the website?
Is this, out of curiosity, now that I'm actually putting this together, is this something we want to poll them for? The updated leaderboard. Right now I'm making a community creations leaderboard only.
Yes.
Do we want to replace the leaderboard that I have linked with that one? Or
we
do
might
we
as
want
well,
to
because I don't think anyone cares about the high-lows. Like, I mean, that's really the only difference, right? Is the
high-lows and the showcases.
Oh, yeah.
I will say the only people that have a showcase right now are one person that's not Discord anymore. I think it was Hisbor.
Yep.
And then I think the only person might be Cosmic.
We can work on showcases later. Yeah, I'm 100% okay just ditching all. I mean, we now have enough that I don't think we need the D&D Beyond stuff. We can keep those on, like, we can get those off the score if we want and remove them from the scoring and just have those as like things that we've reviewed.
Sure.
But we don't have to have them as part of like the global scores anymore. So we can just put the community stuff. I kind of like the idea of just having what the community has submitted, because again, who cares about, we can't even find half the stuff on D&D Beyond anymore.
True.
Like, you know, more often than not, they don't even exist.
There's a couple, there's the two that I submitted from TikTok that we ended up reviewing that I really, that were cool. And a couple from my player that I've also not included in our community creations just because they're not a part of our community yet.
And that's where I feel like nowadays we have enough coming in from the community and we have enough already done. Let's just do it. Let's just make a community only one. And then that way there's no confusion on who's submitted, what's been submitted, and we don't have to bother with all the other stuff. So we can keep the other ones. Maybe for, again, the website, maybe there'll be some links on the website to all of the reviews we've ever done. Sure. But I think the leaderboard should just be for the community now.
Okay. Cool.
People outside the community, you don't deserve a score.
Wild. Who are you and why are you here?
Huilipa says, links for open reference sources. So do you mean in terms of just the things that we use? Well, yeah. Would you have an example of open reference sources? I'm curious what kind of links we could provide for that, because I want to know. I really want to know what would bring people to the website, or if we had one, what would people use it for? You know, obviously you can come to Twitch to watch us live, you can go to YouTube to watch the videos, so links to all of that stuff don't matter. I've never understood having a website that only really links to your YouTube. It's like, it's not really helping.
I mean, sure, unless you specifically want like a nice UI where everything's laid out like exactly the way you want it, and YouTube doesn't let you do that, right? But outside of that, you just go to YouTube. Yeah, and then maybe eventually getting outside the database. I mean, we could do like, you know, summaries and intros and bios of like High Point and Cineverse and all of that. Sure. But that's where it's like, I just don't know what you get to think about. The aspect of a website is not something that you want people to come to once. Sure. So if it just had our bios and that was it, like people come over there, just read about us once and that's it. Like, I need, you know, I'm trying to figure out outside of the database and outside something that people can actually like play with and work with, what else would make our website worthwhile, like worth going to, worth checking in on every now and again, not necessarily be on daily. You know, we're not a social media app. I will say one thing will be the Oracle, whenever that thing becomes a thing. Yeah. That could be very cool place just for people to go and ask questions to, you know, query and whatnot. I'm curious what because theoretically you can do that already with just open source Chat GPT. You can ask it any question about rules about D&D 5e, right? But like, imagine if we just had like a D&D chatbot, you know, to like ask it like, hey, what would a ruling be on this? I mean, you could say like, well, that's what the Oracle is eventually going to be. It's just going to be specifically focused to us and our stuff, because again, anybody can go to Google or Chat GPT. Exactly. I want ours to be specific on what would we say. Yes. So that's going to be a little bit of a different, a map creator. Okay. If you ever want to get into some coding and make a map creator for the website, that would be interesting. I could see a map creator, basic questions for world building. That will definitely come with the Oracle, and maybe do some like FAQs, or, you know, maybe we could actually do some like website specific videos where they're more like educational tutorial-ish, where we sit down in the studio where it's not live, but you and I actually like talk out, almost like kind of like a workshop, talk out how we do things, more of a tutorial aspect, and then you can put those on the website. So kind of like what Lip was saying, if someone has questions on world building, maybe we have like a 5-part series on how to build a world from scratch. And we sit there and we just do 5 episodes recorded, where we just talk about how do we go about building something from scratch. And then that could be something that only the website has, because it's not like the live stream. How do you feel about having something on the website where people could like build build in a homebrew review submission, like where they could go on.
Oh yeah,
I
think once we have
like,
our format proper, like the actual formatting outside of Goblin Notebook, I 100% think having some sort of form, or even like there wouldn't be a bad way to have it to where you have like this screen that's split, where it's like you say, you know, give us the title, give us your name, and you have them all in boxes, but on the other side of the screen,
it shows what it'll look like.
They see it being filled out so they can format it properly, for what they think it's going to look like. And then you get it, and then you do the final edit. But at least this way, you could get something that they know and you know what it's supposed to look like.
Gotcha.
And then you can do the final. So yeah, we could absolutely add that in as an option as well. Any kind of interaction with us, you know, that's, you know, anything that we would normally do in the Discord, we could probably do through there.
Yeah.
And then just have
that's
it funneled.
Did you see that video I sent you?
Yep. I've seen some other stuff. I'm not.
Okay. I don't know how seriously to take stuff like that.
It's whatever. I mean, Discord's been talking about going public for a long time. There's fears around it. It's still going to be Discord. Is it going to be more corporate and more money grabby? Yeah. But it's still going to be
significantly going to change what we do?
No.
That's
the worst thing that Discord's going to do now is charge us for features that we have for free. That's all they're going to do is push Nitro more and make certain things that are free now.
Maybe sharing pictures will be more limited and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sizes will be even smaller.
But the bigger we get, the more we'll pay for it, and the more. And realistically, there's another option that you can say that it will get somewhat more premium in that respect, but it's going to lose a lot of its. It won't lose its market cap. It's not going anywhere, but it's going to lose its prestige. You know what I mean? It's like, think about Steam, right?
Sure.
Steam's kept it for a long time, and they're still kind of the cornerstone for a game launcher, but for the most part, they are one or two steps away from. They wouldn't go away if they started doing things like what Epic did and just start doing, like, you know, crap to their customers. They wouldn't just suddenly lose the base because there is no one to replace them. But it's not like they would suddenly be the favorite anymore.
Yeah.
They are the favorite because they're so good, and they have the market cap. If they stop being the favorite, they'll still have the market cap.
Got you.
And that's how I feel about Discord. Discord is the favorite and has a market cap. I think they're about to lose favoritism, which means that anybody just has to do it better, and then they lose the market cap as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it like immediately. You know, it's not like the TikTok ban. It's not something that's going to immediately affect us. But is it is it a sad day?
Something to be aware of?
Yeah, it's a sad day. But Discord's been around for so long. Like, it's kind of deserved that they finally make real money.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if they haven't been, like, they for sure should, like, you know, like, there are so many big things, and like Discord has done so much for so many people. Like, I agree with that.
Wait, what happened here? Let's see. For the website, Soul says for the website, probably say a section for quick links to the homebrews, Coding Ninja subsection, and the Q&A section. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, so definitely a section for your coding, your admin stuff, all of the updates that you're doing. A section for Q&As, obviously, just any kind of feedback and stuff that we would have.
Yeah.
I do like, obviously, we would have the leaderboards up there, but probably all of the homebrews, or
we'd have
all of our content.
A library for people to go through and look at what we have.
Yeah. Do we have a Patreon? No, we do not have a Patreon right now.
I mean, we could incorporate a Patreon with our website.
I've thought about Patreon for a long time, like, in terms of when we would ever get one. My biggest thing with Patreon is, while I love the idea of it, we already put so much effort into the live stream and everything else that we're doing that we would basically have to come up with a whole other series of things to give you to make Patreon make sense, right? Like, we do the community stream, but then we'd have to do something on top of that, because Patreon's like, you pay a monthly fee for something that you don't already get.
Right.
So it's like, we already do the community streams, which I guess we could make those Patreon only, so we can make those Patreon exclusives. So that's the thing, is I don't feel like, as of right now, we're still trying to create a lot of series and get our flow going with all of them.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we have anything that's Not saying that we're not worth it. Like I appreciate the subs and the bits and everything, but I don't see us as worthy enough to have a Patreon because we don't offer enough. I can't imagine. Like I can imagine why we are.
No, I see what you're saying.
Good enough to get a sub. I can't imagine why we would be good enough to have someone pay a monthly price to get the same thing. You know, I just don't know what else we're going to be able to offer.
Right.
We're already kind of spread thin. So
I get that.
Yeah, I would only do a Patreon if we ever get big enough to a point to where we could honestly give more, but in a way that we knew we wouldn't be able to do during the twice a week live stream.
Right.
You know, if there was a series that we wanted to do or a whole extra day of the week that we wanted to do, but we couldn't just do it just for fun and we had to make sure it made money, that would be the only reason why I would do like a Patreon, is to say, hey, we have a new series, but we can't just do it for free. So it's going to be a Patreon exclusive.
Got you.
Something like that. But that has yet to happen. We have yet to get to that stage, and I have yet to have an idea like that. So
fair enough.
No
Fair
Patreon
enough.
in the near future. Dice Hydra roller once and twice dice head grow. Let's see. You should do Beacon. Instead, you can get more incentive from the people you can actually pay to see your stuff. Patreon takes a lot more. Interesting. I haven't heard of Beacon before. I haven't looked into any of those other ones because I get
the same answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what more we could offer, let alone what we'd be able to. Like, you know, we have the live stream that you get to see all the behind the scenes stuff. We both of us stream whenever else we can outside of these 2 days. So that's already kind of like behind the scenes, just hanging out. We have the community stream once a month that is voted by you. We're trying to do more streams on Friday, like more series on Fridays where we're doing more creative stuff. We have the VODs on YouTube. We have the edited content on our main channel, and we have shorts. The
only thing I could see Patreon eventually being for is for stuff like merch, stuff like,
gaming with us
content.
Yeah.
Like, some of our like custom homebrews, being able to like take those, like that's really the only thing. Cause I know a lot of people, they'll do that. They'll like, there are these, there's this one guy I follow a lot, the Griffin Saddlebags or whatever. He just makes stupid amounts of content, and he puts a large amount of his homebrew stuff like on like Instagram and TikTok or whatever, and just for people to see. But he has a lot of his stuff. Like he sets it up in a way where it's not easy for people to steal off of.
Right.
And so if you really want like a good quality copy of his content, then you go to your Patreon, you pay for it, you do all this other stuff. And I've seen a lot of people do the thing where it's like, buy us a cup of coffee or whatever, like a little link for something like that stuff would be cool, but like a whole ass Patreon,
Yeah, I definitely think, honestly, the closest thing we'd ever get to doing a Patreon right now would probably be if we wanted to start like DMing for chat or like gaming with the community.
Sure.
I could easily see doing a Patreon to like
be a part of that.
Because that would be a dedication for a lot more of my time, and I would not be able to just do that idly. So
yeah,
that would be the only way I could really honestly start charging people, is if I was hardcore DMing.
I genuinely think that is a significant possibility. Truly.
Did you ping Hecate for any reason? They accidentally swiped the notification. They didn't see what it was.
Hecate. No. I've been reacting to things in submissions.
Gotcha.
I've been hitting reactions on a lot of different stuff, so that's probably what you noticed. I've been hitting a bunch of buttons and doing stuff. It's just to help me notify where I'm at. If you got a check mark, that means I've added it to the list. If you've got a scroll, that means I've actually written it up. And if you've got a thumbs up, that means we reviewed it.
Oh, cool. Nice.
It just helps me know where I'm at with all the stuff that's over there.
Yeah, I should do. I don't want to just keep adding channels, but maybe I should just like refurb one of the channels. But I don't know. We have the suggestions channel. Maybe I should just start harping on having chat use the suggestions channel to give us ideas for the website, give us ideas for like, not specifically Patreon, but how should we grow? Because at this point, we're growing in the sense of admin stuff in the background. We're preparing for growth. We have new series and new episodes that we're trying out that we're going to start flooding more.
Yep.
But outside of growing the community and getting new viewers, what do y'all want? You know what I mean? Like what we know what brings you here. You know, obviously we're doing it every week. So it's the idea of we're obviously doing something right, but what more can be done? You know, what would, again, in the suggestion chat, let us know what you would want to see on the website. What would you want to see in a beacon or a Patreon? You know, what do other streamers do to get you to support them? What ideologies do you hold, you know, that would get you to do that? Because I don't ever foresee myself as being that person that just shows up and gets paid. You know, there are those streamers that just turn on the camera and people just throw them money just hoping that they acknowledge them. And I'm just like, I always want to be able to provide value, but
I totally feel that.
You know, it's I want that value to also be, you know, to be felt by the community, right? I don't want to just do something and get used to just doing what I want to do for my value and just get paid for that. Like, I want to know that people are getting the you know, getting from it what they're putting in. So if if putting certain aspects on the website, or if being able to do certain things, like let's say, you know, gaming specifically with the community and not just gaming on stream, like if that is the big difference of why we should charge them, like I can totally understand that, right? If it's maybe we have, and I don't know if I would do this through a Patreon or the website, because the website you could easily do like a paid membership, but we could do, I don't know, DM workshops where we do a one-on-one, where we get on a call or a Discord call or something, and we sit down with someone who's working out, and kind of like how we do homebrew review, we just sit there and coach them through whatever it is, but do it
we just
live.
Walk it, yeah.
And whether it's how to do encounters, whether it's building an encounter.
Like stream?
No. I mean, just like they call
just
us.
Them,
yeah, instead of like through text or whatever, just like you just once a month through that you can schedule a one-on-one with us for like a couple hours or whatever. We just sit down and do like we do with homebrew review, but walk through what we might do, you know, some tips and tricks,
understand what their thought process is, what you're trying to get out of it, and then hopefully help hone you into the thing it is that you wanted to build in the end.
Right. You know, we could just do like, you know, group coaching. I actually
like that idea.
You know, do group coaching sessions where like once a month, if you're part of like the Patreon or the membership, you can log into like a Discord call that's hosted once a month, and it's like an open forum where you can just ask questions and we just do open coaching. So maybe it's like an overall theme. You know, so like hey, we're similar to a one-on-one
today or something like that.
Yeah, or encounters or encounter flow or HP tracking. Just we could just do those where we have a general workshop where people can ask questions. We could do one-on-ones. I don't know. I don't know if these are things people would pay for. Like, that's the thing, is I know that there are paid DMs out there, and while I would love that, I definitely don't have like that kind of schedule right now to just run that many games, let alone the ones that I already have. But I do like this idea of, if it's not going to be gaming D&D, which is kind of the thing that we've still, after 2 years, have stayed away from. Not that we want to, it's just, it's not our bread and butter. It's not what we want to be known for. Would people be interested in paying for workshops instead of just paying for another person to run their D&D session? Because there's plenty of people who will love to take your money and D&D for you, like DM for you. But are there people running those kind of workshops to help you become better, you know, to help you deal with players and deal with, you know, your note-taking system and deal with how do you balance things and how do you challenge people? Like, I don't know, because that was what we kind of set out to do, is be a open forum to talk about all those things. Do people want that? Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people are more interested in their own ideas. They're just like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I need someone to do XYZ for me instead. So I don't know. I don't want to build things.
I feel like there are definitely people out there that would really appreciate that. I don't know if specifically our current audience vibes with that. But I can definitely, I know people personally who would kill for that, right? Like people that are like, sitting at home racking their brains with like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew how to better word this. I wish I knew how to better put this together. I wish I knew how to make this feature that I want to know work, and I don't know who to ask or who to talk to. Like on my programmer side of things, I've had that. Like if I had somebody I could just go to and be like, hey, can we just like sit down for
just like a mentor session.
That would be one of the coolest opportunities, I think.
I mean, chat's talking about one-offs with fans, so like, you know, just doing one-shots. Concept art competitions. I love the idea of doing art competitions. I wish we had more artists in the Discord. We have one artist and they haven't really talked up much. They gave some examples, but I'm really hoping that we get some more artists in soon because I really want to work with somebody on artwork. But yeah, I would definitely do art competition. I think I want to do art competitions in the Discord.
Here's the deal. If we're doing an art competition, I cannot be a judge. All right. I think everything is great because all I draw is stick figures. So I'm just giving everything a 10 because it's all way better than I could ever do. We need some professional judges out here.
I mean, maybe we should just start, maybe one of these days, now that it's been 2 years, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do an art competition. I'll just announce it in the Discord and be like, hey, anybody want to do an art competition? Because it's our 2-year anniversary, I don't know, maybe I'll like throw like $50 on it or something. I mean, we've made over $100 at least, so I could easily take some of the stream money and just give it back to the community and do an art competition. And then
that would be cool.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with a theme, and then that will be like maybe something that gets posted, or you know, something that just like goes up for a while.
And this is digital hand-on, not like AI art or
correct. This would be, it has to be like your art. It can't just be you know, generated. But I'll have to do that. Yeah. Hecate says personal one-on-one review. So like instead of doing the homebrew review public,
sure,
but being able to sit down with someone, maybe be a little bit more real, more direct, and just be like, okay, instead of it being oh, this is interesting, I wonder what you're doing, just be like, explain this to me. Like,
sure.
What are you intending for this? And this is why I ask. So not to be rude or more harsh, but instead of being entertaining about it, it's more of a, you need to tell me what you're trying to do, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking and why.
Are these personal reviews specifically for the purpose of getting scores?
No, I think this would just be like, again, more like mentoring.
Development.
Like someone says, I've built this BBEG, but I don't want to submit it, but like I have a game next week. Could I sit down with you guys and just like, how do you feel about BBEG? I like that idea. A subclass match. So kind of like subclass showdown. I think we could do definitely more of those. Sure. Is there any way that you could donate that's not Patreon? Other than bits and subs right now, actually we do technically have a tip. I do technically have on Twitch just below in like the about section, there is technically a tip link that I think goes to our directly to our PayPal.
Oh, okay.
So there you can cheer, you can sub, gift subs, or technically I think I set that up like over a year ago.
I think it would be cool if
PayPal.
we had one of those buy me a coffee links. It's just, I think it's like a simple but maybe even easier way so you don't have to do it through Twitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we had like a link in our Discord where you could just be like, hey, if you want to help support us, you know, go to the buy me a coffee link or whatever, put it somewhere or something like that. So.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Maybe again, I've never really like thought about it, but maybe I do just need to have, I mean, like the whole tip thing, I just put it in there when we very first, it was before we made affiliate. I think I was just setting everything up, and I was researching some people, and I saw that a few of them have like just like a tip link, but they never talk about it. So I think I set it up just for that of okay, someone wants to be generous and I wasn't an affiliate yet. I'm like, cool, do that.
This is the way to do it.
And then I kind of forgot about it. So maybe I'll look into like a buy me a coffee. I know there's things like Throne out there, and that's really interesting. So Throne is a system to where, let's say we wanted to get new cameras. Let's say we need to upgrade cameras, microphones. I wanted to get the stream deck, or, you know, I needed to get a new charging cable, what have you, a new light.
Sure.
I can put it on Throne. I go to the website that I want to get it. I put that link into my Throne account, and then the community can go onto that Throne account and see basically like my wish list, and they can buy it for me.
Oh, so it's like a registry.
Yeah, exactly. So if I say I needed a new microphone and I say, hey, I'm looking at this $40 microphone, someone would go on there, more likely would pay like $60 for it, which is the downside.
They would have to pay more than it's actually.
Well, yeah, because they're paying for that, the shipping, and then the processing fees.
Right.
So it's going to be more expensive, but they would pay more, but yeah, then what would happen is Throne would buy it for me from the vendor that I chose, take their cut, and then ship it directly to me. So the community would only put their card in, buy it, and then all that processing and shipping would be directed to me. And my private information doesn't go out. They don't have to worry about me getting their card.
Got you.
It's basically handled by a third person.
Got you.
So I know Vixie used that for a while.
That's actually kind of cool.
Throne is pretty cool. So yeah, there's even another version of Throne. Like there's the Buy Me a Coffee. There's also another one. I forget what the actual thing is, but it's essentially like a chat controlled Instacart. So it's not just coffee where you just put any local food or snacks. You could just put anything. You could say, if there's a grocery store nearby, you say, hey, from this grocery store, here's 5 items that I like. Oh, there's a Starbucks nearby. I like that specific coffee. Oh, there's a Pizza Hut nearby. I like that pizza. And what happens is you make this list, right? You make basically this list of all the things that you like to eat, drink, snack on. And at any point, someone can go on that list and just go, I'm going to get that for you. And then it literally gets bought and delivered right then and there. So you could just be on stream and a pizza or a coffee shows up at your house.
Wild.
I think Vixie's done that once where she got coffee and an ice cream one time.
That's kind of sick.
Because you put the exact item you want too. So it's not like you just say you can buy me a coffee. You go there and say,
put the specific order, like,
you can order this
with
for me.
no onions, extra tomatoes, and drowned in ranch sauce.
Yeah, whatever you put in there, they can buy it for you, and then it just gets delivered right to your door. And the idea is like, so I've seen people do that like for subathons where they're just like, man, chat, I'm getting hungry. Anyone want to order me a pizza? And then like within half an hour, they're just eating pizza on stream because chat bought them a pizza.
Freaking nuts, dude.
So I know things like that there exist. Of course, I'm that kind of person where I'm just like, that'll never happen to me. Like, that would never. I don't.
Bro, if we had that, bet money would have already happened to us at least once. I
don't know. Maybe we'll think about it. I mean, got to put some healthy stuff on there because otherwise it's.
They're gonna be like, all right, guys, let's see how fat we can make them.
Serotonin likes buying coffee, and I like drinking coffee. The problem is we do this at night, and I don't need to be drinking coffee. Yeah. Right before.
See, I'm like one of the few people who doesn't like coffee, but I mess with some tea all day long. So that's. And see, I genuinely think the buy me a coffee thing, I don't think they're actually buying you a coffee. I think they're just donating money.
It's just more of a thing, and it's like just Serotonin just said, it's weirdly easier to conceptualize. And I get that. Like when I can buy someone a $7 drink, that's like $7.95. That feels much more concrete than a $5 or $10 random dono.
Yeah.
Seeing just a $5 go to them, and $5 is just kind of like whatever. But when you know it's like that $7.82 that you just spent, that's a thing. That's something, and then you can see me have that thing.
Yes.
And consume said thing and enjoy said thing, and your money. You saw the full circle of what your money did versus I gave you money. I hope your life is better with that. And again, it's weird for someone like us, that $5 is very much like appreciative and crazy, but in the real world, $5 isn't a lot. But then on the same token, to those streamers that have like tens of thousands of viewers and people give them $5 and they're millionaires. And it's like, again, that $5 is nothing in the real world, and even less so to that person. But I do get it. The conceptualization of being able to say, I got you.
Give you something concrete. Yeah. No, I totally feel that.
We have a this or that from Soul. This or that. Not related to D&D, but for my hydration. Chug Juice or Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000.
One more time?
For hydration purposes, Chug Juice or Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000. I'm gonna go with the Gamer Fart 9000.
I'm
because I know what it
Chug
is.
Juice because God bless America.
Juice has too much sugar.
What's a Gamer Fart gonna have in it?
It's an electrolyte drink. It's an electrolyte energy drink.
Oh, so it's an actual drink.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all were tripping me. I was like, a gamer?
It's I think it's from Gamer Sups. They have all these weird names, but they're basically like I don't know. I haven't actually fully looked into them, but a couple of streamers that I respect actually have started sponsoring them. In fact, one was promoting them before they got sponsorship and then got the sponsorship because they were all about them. But they're kind of like controversial with some of their names, but like Guacamole Gamer Fart. But I guess it's a energy drink that's not caffeine based, not like guarana.
Random,
It's not that base, but it's also an electrolyte base. So it also helps like actually keep you hydrated and energized while you're gaming. So it's basically a healthy alternative to energy drinks for gamers.
Interesting.
And it's targeted at gamers. I think there's one like Incel Tears is one of the flavors that I remember seeing.
Wild.
So as I said, they're weird, but apparently all their flavors are great. And they give you free samples. You could just go to their website and just get free samples of like 5 flavors. No questions asked.
It's kind of cool.
So apparently they're pretty good. I don't know. I haven't really looked into them, but like I said, some people that I've seen that I respect have started talking to about them. So I kind of, that makes me more comfortable talking about them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know anything about all that. Your gamer farts frighten me.
Another idea is Kage's helping hand, where Kage sits 1v1 with an individual for an item or creature or even subclass. And on Friday, Vortex can check it out and Kage can help explain the idea. Interesting. So like just like a 2-parter where...
So it's basically like what we already do, but except I have a one-on-one with the person about their
like before a
review, kind of.
Okay. I'm
not mad at that.
I don't know how that would... I don't see the benefit of that because like the homebrew review, I mean, that's basically just breaking up the review into 2 parts. And the point of the review is not to make something for me. Like the score, while you want a high score, the score isn't the goal.
I'm not trying to make it for you. I'm trying to, like we would be doing anyways, help them make whatever it is that they want to make.
Right. So, but then why do it in 2 parts? Because if you do that and then it comes to me, we do that together. You know, I'm not connecting why they would do it with you, then come to me, unless they're trying to make something to get a higher score, and you would. But then that's against the point.
Now, I will say this. I think there is a difference between wanting to get a higher score and wanting it to be better. And I'll say the difference that I think is a lot of the times we do bring up stuff that, regardless of the score that it gets, would be objectively overall smoother for what it is that you're trying to do. And maybe it's just something that they didn't think about. And so maybe having a little aspect of that ahead of time so they can feel like whatever it is that they're bringing to the table has a little bit, you know how sometimes you're like, hey, it's not finished yet? Like maybe they can feel like it. Maybe they feel like it's missing something and it's not quite finished yet, but they don't know what. So they're just sitting there in limbo, not doing anything. So instead of just submitting it in unfinished, they get a little bit of insight on how to get it to the point that they really want it to be at before they submit it. That would be my only mindset, because I've been in scenarios similar to that before.
Yeah, and maybe it's just because of the way that I've changed my mind on like how homebrew review is. But it's like that is the whole point of homebrew review, is basically a workshop with us, right? It's a live workshop. So again, I'm just caught up on why would we split that into 2 pieces, because you prepping them for me would just make my review that much shorter. Because I'd be like, oh, yep, that's no changes. Yep, that looks good. No changes. Like if you literally prepped them did all of the work, the only thing I could do is if we disagreed and been like, oh, I may have made that a D8. But the more complete and more benefit, like no offense, but it's like the more that
goes away.
Yeah, the more that it can benefit from change, the more we have to offer. But if you go through a beneficial like review process before the live review, what am I going to be able to say other than, hey, yeah, that's great, cool, here's your score? Like I feel like the process is getting these items that aren't complete to help the completion, because it's not really, it's a review, not so much like the review comes with the score, but it's not so much a ranking of how good did you do.
Sure.
The whole review process is to help you get to your final idea, and then the review is just how much it would be work for me. But it's more of a workshop than a review. And that's where maybe I'm getting that's where I'm confused on why would you prep them just to take away the actual constructiveness of the live review.
That's very fair.
But I still like the idea in general of workshops, one-on-one workshops, either with both of us or one-on-one with, you know, their choice, because we could easily do that. Just be a, you know, there's like a one, like for members, maybe they can maybe all members get access to like the group workshops, but maybe there's either higher tier memberships, or within the memberships, if you're a member, you can also then pay individual prices for like one-on-ones. And then we can just have packages. It's, you know, package with you, package with me, package with both. you know,
Yeah.
and then we can have time frame. Yeah, if people would be down for that, I would probably be much more open to entertaining the idea of charging the community for stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like everything we do is free. It's up to you to voluntarily sub, cheer, do all of that, which we always appreciate. But I'm not comfortable. I don't know if I feel comfortable yet providing something that I would ask to be paid for.
Yeah.
But I think I've gotten to the point now to where, at least with our review process, I do think we have a value in a sense. Like not so much because we don't come across, or at least we don't present ourselves as we know what we're doing better than everybody else.
Yeah.
If it is the idea of here's an option that you can voluntarily choose to have, you're coming to us, letting us know it's worth your value. I could probably be more on board with that.
Okay.
If the community would like that, I would be.
I'm down to make. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. We'll think about that.
When you think,
Soul agrees with you. Tea is better than coffee.
see, telling you, tea heads, man, we're out there.
TW100 Maca. What is that?
Is it?
Oh, I got the TW100 Maca. Oh, for the gamer subs. Okay, that was another.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that was another flavor.
wild. God bless America.
If I skip coffee in a day, it makes sense in my mind. Not totally logical, but works. Hey, that's fine. We get you a cocktail recipe. I mean, I don't mind cocktail recipes. I like cocktail recipes.
Please, cocktail recipes, please.
Okay, yeah. So no score, just helping creating things. Yeah, I would be okay with coaching sessions. I think that might be different because some people might feel better if it's not live to talk about certain topics or to present things that aren't as polished.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't really get to express much outside of text. Like,
Yeah.
some people don't get the ability to really express things. So to have a coaching session where they really get to, say their piece, there could be some interesting aspects of that. My biggest concern, of course, is not really the legality. There's way easier ways to protect ourselves for exchange of money. My biggest, I guess, concern for that is kind of like the same reason why we separate a lot of what we do to like what we do live versus what we do in the Discord. There's a big separation of how much interaction we do, right?
Right.
Just like personal rules. Like I don't direct message anybody. All of my stuff is public. Like I like keeping that track record because I've seen too many streamers and public figures go down because of dumb things that, like, I'd much rather be called out for something I said in my own Discord in public than something someone took in a private message the wrong way.
Yeah.
Especially if that person is just of the wrong age, the wrong background. It doesn't matter. One bad comment can make I'd much rather it be in a public space where there's there's as little way to get it out of context as possible. Like, it's going to be framed in a certain way.
What's going on in the full context of the situation.
And that's just me being overly cautious because I've seen what other streamers have gone through.
That's super real. I'm here for that.
So that's my only hesitation is I love this idea, but it's then just how do I make myself comfortable with, if it's not going to be live, what do we do? Like, recording it would probably be fine because then we can actually offer that as a service. You get a recording of it so you can always...
Honestly, I would love that because then I could go back and review it and look at it and remember everything that was said.
And that's probably what will end up happening is that then that way we have a recording of it, you have a recording of it, our recordings match, there's no alternate. So there's things about it that would make me more comfortable. It's just, again, it's that idea of, like a minor uses their parents' credit card for a one-on-one, and all of a sudden, because we don't have it recorded or we don't have it, suddenly we were paid to have a private conversation with a minor. I don't want that kind of involvement.
No, I totally
I want a very clear-cut way where if anything happens, I could go, look what happened. This is the exact series of events.
Start to finish.
Yeah. I know it's probably overthinking of it. It's just all it takes is one thing someone takes out of context that you can't immediately put back into context. That's what I don't want. You know what I mean? I have fun here. I'm not here to like ruffle feathers. I'm not here to like make waves. I'm here to have a good time. And that is the
100%.
last thing I want to get involved in
100%.
is a
Yep.
misunderstanding. You know what I mean? Just
For all the wrong reasons, too.
so if y'all ever wonder why we're hesitant doing things or if it's hard to get a hold of us, like there's limitations that we have just because of comfortability and understanding that. I mean, we can actually I think after 2 years, we can call ourselves public figures now. Like up and coming, very small.
Sure.
But the simple fact of we have a public facing aspect to us. And I've always thought that comes with a set of responsibilities.
I don't disagree.
So yeah, I don't want to do right. I want to do right by my community. I don't want to do anything that would sway people's trust of us. And again, if we can offer a service, these coaching services in a way that protects everybody and is very smooth, I'm down for it. My biggest fear is just saying, this is a cool idea. Let's just get a PayPal link and let's just start doing it.
Yeah.
And then 6 months from now, someone's like, hey, someone's been paying to talk to you guys every week off of a bad credit card, or, why are you talking, to this child, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What? I don't know. I don't know all of the different ways.
The problem is there's too many ways that it could be, that it's like, how do you really want to put yourself in a position where it could go wrong?
Yeah.
So easily.
I don't want to be like,
you don't have to.
Like, even again, it's not just about like minors or anything, right? It could just be someone stole like a credit card and paid for a bunch of our services. And now we're stuck dealing with the chargebacks, or someone's coming after us going, I didn't pay for that. My bank won't charge me back. You owe me a refund. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get involved with credit card fraud.
Yeah.
I don't want to get involved with, like relationship issues. I don't want somebody, spending too much time with us and not enough time with their family. I don't want rumors to start because we're playing favorites, because someone's paying for too much of our time, and maybe we give them a discount. All of a sudden there's favoritism, or people start talking like, oh, we're spending too much time with this person. Like, there's just so many different ways you can make something out of nothing.
Yeah. And
as long as we just do it in a way that it's not easy to do that with, right?
Yeah.
If everything
CYA.
Yeah, 100%. If we can CYA on every level, then I would love to do all of this. I love the idea of coaching. I love the idea of helping out the community, giving more ideas in more of a fashion than this. And of course, I love the idea of making money, right? But
sure,
I like all of that. I am just hesitant because I don't know all of the ways it can go wrong. And because of that, I feel like that seeing what others have gone through, I know better. I know better than just running head on without thinking twice and without thinking, what could this get me into?
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like getting a PO box. It's like, I'd love to get a PO box to have stuff sent to us, but there are complications in that too. Like, PO boxes are only so secure, so
Sure.
It's only so much of a separation between us and the public on a PO box. PO boxes usually have to be local, so that also very much can narrow it for some people. It's weird things when you start to bridge that gap. So I don't know where my comfort levels are with everything.
Yeah.
But I am liking this idea. And if the community wants it, I will entertain it. I would absolutely entertain this idea of doing off-stream coaching. I guess that would just be it, right? Just be off-stream coaching. Like,
I mean, that's I'd say the biggest thing, but what else were we talking about? Off-stream coaching, Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just different variations of off-stream coaching.
whether it's for creation, whether it's for DMing, whether it's for being a player. Would it be? See, this is where my mind starts to go, but this is where I don't know. All of this sounds really great, but then I'm like, would we want to expand this into having people be able to pay to play games with us? Or is that where you draw the line of, as long as we're providing real value, but if we're just going to play games, we might as well just have like a game night.
I would say specifically because having a paid DM is a real thing.
I wasn't about like D&D. I was talking about like video games and stuff. Just like
Oh.
like almost like, hey, like we have coaching, but like, would it be almost too far to do like the, can you pay to like just hang out? Like I feel like that would be.
I would say like maybe not like pay per session, but having it be a part of like, hey, if you're a part of our Patreon, or hey, if you're a part of our
like
website,
monthly gaming sessions that if you're the members, you can just join in and then we'll cycle people through.
Sure.
And then you can pay. Then there would be like the individualized coaching sessions that are the actual things you can like pay extra for. Okay. Well, I'll think about that. I will think about that, and maybe I'll set some polls up in the Discord and see what the rest of the community thinks.
Yeah. Did I ask about? There was a poll I wanted to ask about. I swear that's what sparked this whole conversation, but I don't remember if I actually asked it, and now I can't remember what the poll was. Oh, it was the leaderboard, and you were just like, just do the new leaderboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just do the one with just everybody here.
I gotta remember how I published that in the freaking first place, and then it should be all good. But okay.
Yes, we did get split between that. We did we did choose two different ways, so I don't know what you ended up choosing.
What do we get split between?
What he should drink for hydration.
Oh yeah, I for sure split. I was like, juice, drink some juice. I don't know what these gamer farts are.
Maybe P2P, but monthly winner gets free playing. Interesting. Be curious to see how we could do that. I do want to incorporate more of like the channel currency, because people have been earning it, but we just don't have
Enough to do with it.
Yeah, I need to do more. I just need to do more predictions and stuff.
Watch this video. I swear it was just before I came over here, and it was one that I thought was so cool. But it was like these perfectly timed like sound bites, or where somebody will like do like the voice to chat things, but like somebody sneezed and somebody had paid to have "bless you" show up on the screen. Now I don't know if it was like an automatic soundbite that just said "bless you," and like they just happened to have,
or they had it like queued, like waiting for it or something.
Oh my god! But like so often I've seen these like perfectly timed ones, and I think if we had stuff like that for people to like find a way to like perfectly time one of these things, that they would try a lot more often to like perfectly time different. I don't know.
That's fair.
I think that would be fun. I think that'd be fun.
So, so the high points are the actual like channel currency that we can give out, and they'll be for things like predictions. So if we want to host like a prediction, you guys can like bet your points, and then you guys will get.
We did that the one time on the
showdown.
On the showdown, yeah.
And then you can also, we can use them for things like giveaways, contests, raffles, like anything we host like that. You would basically be able to use those to buy into those things. We just haven't done anything with them yet. Yep, there's and Soul just pulled up the leaderboard. So if you want to look at where your score is, you can click on the link in chat if everyone can see that. I think that's public to everybody. Yeah. So
y'all are kicking me out. This is awesome. I'm number 5 now.
Oh, you're number 5. What?
Yeah. Soul, Hecate, and Hoylepa got me beat. I love it. It's probably because these guys show up on your gaming streams when I can't be around.
Right. How many people do we have total?
Looks like there's a total of 25 people on the leaderboard.
No. That's only page 1.
Oh, 106? God bless America.
There are 106 people on the leaderboard. We've had some randos come in. Most of those people just like hang out for a few minutes and leave.
Bunch of people with just 3.
Yeah, there's hella people with just 3. That's funny though. That's cool though. It's cool just seeing people, come in for a bit and then, hang out. Like there's some like there's some names in here who have some like they were here for a minute. Like this person here, Recon John, they have 60. Oh, hey, Babakiss has 90.
Nice.
Creme Brulee has 98.
Wild. Okay.
They've been here a minute. Chrono Shadow, whoever that is, has 204. That's crazy. Oh yeah, and then
204.
yeah, that's right below Saint Vice 206, and then Pokeniner were 210. That's crazy. So let's see. I recognize Pokeniner. Serotonin's right above Pokeniner.
Python's got 143.
Nice.
That's probably from that one stream.
Right. So if Python can move up too, we'll have like a top 20 of like actual like regulars.
It's crazy.
That's dope. I like it.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Dice giveaways is great. Ooh, dice giveaways. But the thing, so like, how would that work for us though? So we just buy dice and then give them away?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they got all kinds of wild dice.
You know what we could
on,
do is we could probably go and buy some dice. Like we could customize dice sets, like go buy individual dice to make sets and then sell them or give them away.
You know what? I think it would be very interesting to see who would be interested in buying dice that we've played with. So like say we bought a set of dice and like
played a couple games
or like did a one shot or something like that.
I think we'd have to be a little bit more famous for
fair,
that. But I mean, like honestly, I know people would buy Matt Mercer's dice. Like there's no question about it.
There are so many people that would buy a set of dice that Laura Bailey played with because she's the dice goblin on that show. Oh my gosh,
yeah, 100%. Okay, so I could see like again, my biggest thing is just like I don't know how to set these things up. Like it would be easy to go buy some dice. I could make, we could go buy ones for Alucard. We can go buy a set for Shazam, right? We could go make our own little custom ones for all of our builds. But I think my biggest thing is like I'd have to figure out how to like I know how to like set up the giveaway, but then how do we do the giveaway? How do we hype it? What's the whole thing around the giveaway? So I like that idea though. Okay, dice giveaways, we'll keep that in mind. Because I do like the idea of custom building sets and then selling them based off of things that people have liked to see here, right? So okay, think about that. Hoylepa, please change my score. It was 6 out of 10, not 10 out of 10, huh? What you talking about, Hoylepa? What do you mean 6 out of 10, not 10 out of 10?
Do I have you wrong somewhere?
I mean, you're number 4 in the leaderboard. Is that what you mean? I don't know. Unless, are you talking about on the... Are we talking about the actual leaderboard from review?
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. It's the only time they would have gotten... Yeah, either 6 out of 10 on the leaderboard. Do you see 10 out of 10 somewhere?
Yeah, let us know what you're looking at, Hoylepa.
Your Lance.
Soul, you are not allowed to gift an entire paycheck's worth of subs.
God bless America. What?
You are not allowed to do that.
What? Do you not have rent?
No, don't even. I mean, unless you have like 5 jobs and you're talking about like, the one that you make like, $100 a week on, then you can, give us that one paycheck that's, not part of your rest. But no, you're not blowing a whole paycheck on this. Come on now. We can custom make sets, MGS dice. That would be interesting. Actually custom design MGS dice.
Dude, that is again one of the big pieces of merch I think we could have.
I might fuck with that. Soul, send that to me in Discord. The dice could be a prize for a 10 out of 10 for a showdown or a 10 out of 10 homebrew review. Actually, that would be interesting to make like some custom MGS dice, and then anytime someone gets like a 10 out of 10,
I'd say for your first 10 out of 10.
Yeah, not every time.
Like, no, you win every time.
But that would be interesting. Is like you could get a custom set for.
I think that would be very cool.
Getting a 10 out of 10. That's interesting. That's only 100 gifted stuff. I don't care. It's a paycheck. Don't be wasting that. Don't you dare. But I do like this idea. Send me that website in the Discord, so I will absolutely take a look at that. Let's see. Send that website in the homebrew channel. Okay, cool. I will absolutely take a look at that tomorrow. Fuck yeah, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll design some dice.
There's got to be some website that's like Dice Designers or something like that.
I
like,
usually
put that stuff together.
When I design my dice sets, I usually I will think of like my theme, and then I will mix and match. I'm
so
not
when you say customizing dice set, do you just mean putting together dice from other sets?
That's what I was originally thinking, but with this website, we could design the individual dice themselves. I was thinking about just like saying, hey, here's like an a la carte build, so I just go shop for a D4 and then a different D6 and then a different D20, and then I put those together and then we sell that set. That was my original idea. But we could legit actually design, like graphic design each one, like the color scheme, the layout, and then actually have those built. Depending on how much more that costs, because it would be far cheaper to just buy a custom set than build a custom set. But I like this idea. I might actually do that. That would be cool. Custom dice sets from MGS, especially like limited edition ones. I kind of like the idea of having like a few different themes. Okay. Keep the ideas coming. We need this. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I got the tag. Thank you. How many 10 out of 10s do y'all have so far? That's a great question.
Let me find out.
I'm going to say 3.
3? Now I'm not going to include anything we got from D&D Beyond now. Like,
I think there's only one D&D Beyond that got a 10 out of 10. So there are only maybe 2. Should be Cosmic, I think, has 2, right? Double or Nothing, and the last one of the Double or Nothing got 10 out of 10, right?
Double or Nothing got 10 out of 10, and the Snow Serpent from Hecate got a 10 out of 10.
Gotcha.
Those are the only 10 out of 10s that I see.
No. Cosmic has 2 10 out of 10s.
That's what I thought.
Remember, because he questioned me on how a 10 out of 10 could be better than another 10 out of 10. Like, how could one be better than the other?
Hold on, let me go back to the original. This is why I never remove anything.
No, I know for a fact he got a 10.
Double or Nothing. That's crazy. I don't know what the other one is. Because the only other one that I have is from D&D Beyond, and it's the monster background. Unless I'm tripping.
Well, it wasn't that long ago either. Cosmic's still in chat. Let us know if you remember which one this was. I swear you got a recent 10 out of 10 on something. Because I was so happy with it. I unless it wasn't an official submission. Maybe it was something I would have said on the side. Like if I had to give it a score. So Snow Serpent, there's Predictive Edge, Twin String, this must have been a non-standard one. This must have been a non-normal submission. Like he must have just like talked to me on the side about it. Because I swear, yeah. I can tell you got one of the 10 out of 10s. All right, take it easy, Hoilepa. Nice to see you. Appreciate you showing up.
Shalom, Hoilepa. Thank you for coming, stopping by, hanging out with us. I can't.
I know it must not have been an actual review. It must have just been something that he talked to me like in chat about.
This would be a great question for the Oracle.
Right.
This
Once
would be
we
a
get
great
that
question for the Oracle.
But yeah, he had asked me what I thought about something, and I said that I remember because I even said that it was like out of everything that he'd created, it was wasn't it? It was the stance. It was the class with the stance. Remember his DM?
That is in homebrewing. That is not a homebrew review.
Is that the one? Is that okay? Maybe
because if you're talking about the stance, that's a feat, I think, that he created, but he put that in homebrewing.
I think that might have been it though. Maybe that's what I would have given a 10 out of 10 for.
I mean, you did say you were practically stealing it, and that's basically what a 10 out of 10 is.
That's what it was. It wasn't an official submission, but he did have. I'm trying to find it in here.
How long ago was that?
Because yeah, I just remember saying like that's might be the best thing that you've created in terms of like let's see. Yeah, there it is. For the homebrew fighter, it was a fighting style.
Yes. Oh, fighting style.
It was a whole fighting style, and it was kind of the one that was their DM didn't like it. We really liked it, and it kind of gave you some interest because it was the samurai fighting style, where you don't actually have an attack. All your attacks are based on reactions, so you're constantly holding your actions to do things. And I was just enamored with the way that it was built out and the idea behind it, the aspect of having an entire build based around reactionary combat.
Yeah.
And just holding your position was so good. So I wish that would have been much nicer to actually have a real review, because that would have been his second 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That'd have been wild. Wild.
Another cool idea is getting a 10 out of 10 on High Point and Cineverse. Interesting.
See, here's the deal. I don't think I would be able to rate anyone's stuff, because when you look at how Vortex does his rating systems, it's about the compatibility with High Point. Everything that you guys have created is theoretically compatible with the Cineverse. Everything, all of it, because I take no discriminations. Now, when someone brings something to me, I might make a particular adjustment and be like, hey, so with us, we're gonna have to do this a little bit different. But like, all's fair in love and war, man. You want to do some wild stuff? Like, I have a player right now who has a class that doesn't have a name, and we are playing this thing by the seat of our freaking pants, and she can just summon whatever she wants to summon from this book that she read once. And she literally goes into this book and says, this is the thing I want to, all right, how big is it? What can it do? All right, that's going to cost you about this many summoning points and this and that. And so it's kind of like a weird spell casting class, but it's not, and whatever. So we're doing some ghetto shit. We're doing some ghetto.
It happens.
And eventually I might want to evolve that into a full-on like playable class that I could share with all of you guys. But for right now, it's just you get to do the thing you want to do, right? And I'm okay with that as long as it's fair and balanced for all the other people that are playing. So
yeah,
you all get 10 out of 10s in my book. All right, I love all of you. It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh. All right, well, I think we'll cut it there. We got over the 3-hour mark at least this time. Pretty good. This is giving me some good ideas. Keep them coming. If you honestly post any of these ideas in the suggestion channel in Discord, I would very much appreciate it. I don't want to forget any of these. Kage grabs the chat all the time, so we'll make sure we'll have some of these. But yeah, feel free to post any more ideas. I like all of these. I will probably do some polls in the coming weeks to start getting the broader community's feedback on which direction we should be headed. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, yeah, again, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the review. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and a great week ahead of you. We'll be back on Friday. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.